What's up, fellas? Train to Live podcast number 6. What's going on?
How you guys doing?
What's going on there, Big Herb? We can't hear you, bud. How you doing, Greg?
What's up, Greg? How you doing,
All right,
bud?
there we go. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm probably on mute, but I talk so much and loud that I'll just overcome all that. You know what I mean?
I can totally hear you. I cannot hear Herb at all. This is becoming a tradition. I feel
I'm
like we
starting to
start
realize
every show this way, Greg.
Check yours. I can hear Herb. I can hear everyone.
I can
I
hear
can't hear
everyone.
anyone, only you.
I
Can you
mean,
hear
come
me?
on. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Absolutely,
All
100%.
right.
Let's just do the show without Herb.
There you go. I like it.
There you
Hey,
go.
Yeah. What's up,
hey,
boy?
welcome back from your deployment, Rob.
Man, good to be back, man. A lot of work.
Yeah, I heard you guys. I heard you and the team did great, man. I'm glad to hear that.
The guys and girls got after it. It was an excellent deployment. Going to Louisiana for the second time in the last 2 months for the second storm in a row. They just got hit by one yesterday as well. Was an amazing experience. Logistically very challenging. It pushed our team to the limit, especially dealing with this COVID environment, stuff that we've never really done before on a FEMA deployment. The level of protection, the concern with the corridors, the stuff we were protecting. It was a cool deployment. The guys worked their asses off, and I couldn't be prouder.
We I gotta apologize on our part that we've been pretty busy lately, kind of getting after it as well. And then when you got deployed, I got even busier because I had to go do stuff. But that's cool. I'm glad to kind of be back in the mix and have everybody out there, training and doing the thing. And it feels like everybody's wanting to get their hands dirty again, like get back into training, and they're focused, which is makes my job easy. Herb, you agree on that or?
Yeah, I'm 100% on that, man. It's the COVID thing has really made us the guys have just been so hungry to want to train. And Rob saw that with the VMR class that he did just recently. You saw it with the class that you did. It's the guys are even hungrier now. It's that delay that just has literally made the guys so hungry to get training going.
Yeah, I couldn't agree. Hey, yeah, I'm pretty excited about the guests we got on tonight. We're kind of dipping down into Beantown a little bit. You know what I mean? Bring some of the Boston boys on, which uh these guys are cool, man. I mean, we met them, Herbie. We had a good time with them. They're definitely firemen's firemen, and on top of that, being military as well, man. So it's gonna be cool.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it's so I got a chance to meet these guys when we did Operation Score back in 2017 up in Cape Cod. We had 15 of our guys, NRC guys up there, and we got to evaluate. And it was real cool, man. It was Greg, you and I, we put a bunch of endless time into it, and it was just good, man. It was 24-hour exercises. It was just awesome.
Yeah, and which was really cool too is, um, I hope our boy Danny Barron doesn't get mad. Bringing the Boston Rescue guy on. A little rivalry, but Dan met this guy too, and it was funny, man. When they started talking and just hearing how these rescue companies are ran, it's awesome. And they got a lot of good things that they do. Now some things they still do that's very traditional, a little bit of old school, but I feel that it works because they work in old cities, older style cities, and they still have some 30 plus year guys on the job that, I mean, you can never snag that knowledge and hang on to it, you know what I mean? So to like pick those guys' brains like we always talk, providing they'll give up the info. Some are probably so salty they just, want to get home the next day. I get it. But it's gonna be good, man. I'm excited about this as well. So hope our boy Danny Barron's listening.
Yep. Without further ado, let's introduce Patrick Hayden, Boston fireman from 2005 to present. He's assigned to Rescue Company Number 1. He's a sergeant first class in the Massachusetts Army National Guard from 2001 to present. I actually got to meet him on the CBRN Task Force search and distraction element, and just a wealth of knowledge, man. We look forward to having him on. So without further ado, Welcome, Pat.
Hey guys, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Hey, Pat, what's up, man? Good to see you.
Cheers.
What's up, Big
Cheers.
Patty?
Pat's he wanted to do. I asked him about this podcast and he wanted to do it, but he was kind of like, oh, I can't go unless my buddy comes with me. So those rescue guys up there, apparently they got to stick together in some capacity.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Rescue stuff's awesome, and something we really work on with the Army team is integrating with other civil teams. And I got this guy, ran into him many years ago in my military career, and he's kind of a pain in my ass on the task force because he's Quincy Fire, and they're the next city over. He thinks he's about as good as us, so I don't know where he gets it, but as my buddy Jay Tierney, he's the balls, and we really put our heads together on the task force. So I didn't really want to do this without him. So my boy Jay.
No, perfect, man.
Well, let's so he's on a Quincy Rescue Company 1, right?
That's correct.
And then you guys are both Sergeant First Class, and you both are assigned to the same unit, or how's
Yeah,
that?
that's where the whole thorn in my side thing comes from. We're both doing the same job, but it's awesome. Two heads are better than one.
Absolutely. All right.
That's
well,
awesome.
without further ado, let's introduce him.
There
Jay.
he is. What's up, Jason? How's it going?
Whoa, Jay,
Your
you're on
audio.
mute, brother.
Check
Yeah.
your mute. Check your mute button, Jason.
He just caught it.
There we
There
go.
he is.
Oh,
The
there we go.
computers are not good with this guy. You're a mechanical guy. Part of Pat's thorn there is my inability to learn this new shit. So sorry about that.
Hey, so one thing, if it gets a little out of control, me and Herbie have been up to Boston quite a few times. We can actually translate for you two guys. Like we speak Boston, I think, for the most part.
I too speak Boston.
Yeah, exactly. You're like trilingual now, dude.
We just call it proper American English. The country started here. You guys keep screwing it up the further you go.
Hey, man, we don't have an accent.
Yeah,
You do.
yeah. So we're the mistake. Okay, fair enough.
Not just you, all the other 49 states.
Perfect. All right,
Hey,
fair enough.
so
Danny Erickson.
before we get in here and just start talking shop, normally one of the guys, myself, Greg, or Rob, we'll lead a toast. And tonight, we're going to divert that toast over to Pat, and we're going to let him get into it.
Appreciate that, gents. Tonight's toast is to Sergeant Fallon Boyle. She's a member of our task force. She's a member of the Mass National Guard Homeland Response Force. And she spent a lot of time on decon. Later, we'll tell you how our team has 3 elements. And she recently passed away just the other day, very unexpectedly at 32 years old. And she was most recently on active duty, seeing us through this COVID mission and all the various other things that we face in these days. So just wanted to raise a glass to Fallon, Sergeant Boyle, and to all those who served with her.
Amen. Thank you, Sergeant Boyle.
Amen. Rest easy, sister.
Hey, and I want to thank you two guys for your service as well, knowing that you're doing the civilian side and you're also doing the military side. That's a big deal. I do appreciate every aspect you guys do. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, gents. Thank you very much.
All right, so let's dive right into it. All right, so it's one of the questions. I'm going to open it up to both you guys. It's one of the questions that I've always asked everybody that gets involved in special ops from the fire side of it. What made you take that career path and decide to get off an engine or a truck and jump onto the rescue company?
For me, it's easy. I got my first introduction into tech rescue stuff through the Army. The team started, the Surf P team, as it was called, started in 2004, but didn't really exist yet. That was just when it was like being brainstormed. And I was lucky enough to be in the room when they gave the first brief to the team members. And it was a hell of a thing. I was a young buck. I think it was an E3 or an E4. And anyhow, they sent me to a school. It was RIG out of Oklahoma, Rescue International Group, run by Mike Shannon, who responded to the Murrah building, advised on 9/11. And every instructor at that time, when I went to that first wave of school through him, was at actually worked the Murrah building, the Oklahoma City bombing. And so to be thrown into that environment and just get these guys real world knowledge firsthand, it just changed my whole career path. Really, it just kind of, I actually didn't even start. I went to that school in March of 2005 and went to the start of the academy for Boston June of 5. So I had a technical in my head just before I even got on, not knowing what I was getting into.
Pretty cool.
That's awesome. What about you, Jay?
I was on the job a couple of years already. I heard about the Surf P. Just didn't really know too much about it, unfortunately. Otherwise, I would have jumped on earlier. Probably met Pat a couple of years earlier, pissed him off a little bit before I started. But I think it was 2010. My training captain at the time had some slots because they started the UASI program, the Metro Boston team up here in Boston. And we had 2 slots from my city, and he needed someone to go. And not married, no kids. So I had all the time in the world to go do this. And it was probably the best thing I ever did. Really kind of made me get into the whole fire industry as a whole a lot more. And especially learning the tech side of it makes you start thinking about RIT and, brotherhood, how do you help each other out. And then from there, I got into the task force with Pat here. And but that's actually a big reason why I jumped over to the rescue. I was on the ladder for many, many years. And then when I got into this, I jumped into the rescue and just started opening up a whole new world for the fire industry for me. And been loving it ever since.
Yeah, it's you can always tell there's a couple different avenues the guys go down. I mean, obviously you get the guys that just want to collect that paycheck, and then you get the guys that are just complete engine guys, truck guys, and then you get the guys that are just ate up with the rescue companies, and that's pretty much, as you can tell, the 5 of us right here, that's the passion right there.
Oh yeah.
I still like a good fire once in a while, but kind of focused. When I look at buildings, they do nothing for me if they're still standing. I kind of want them to fall down. Don't wish for them to fall down, but if they do, I want to be, 1 block away or, go in there, head in that direction. I know that's a little sad, but hey, speaking of the rescue company, Pat, when did you get on the rescue company one? As far as I remember, you were pretty early in your career when you got over on the rescue company, which is a big deal for Boston, right?
It is, and it was, and it's interesting how things are going nowadays. But I'll get into that later. But so I had 10 years on when I made it over. For me, that was pretty early and a really awesome deal. I got very lucky, like I told you about my background. So I came in hard charging, and I got appointed to a company, downtown, an engine company. Learn the high rise, learn the subways, learn pretty conventional engine company operations as well. Made my way over to a Division 2 engine in the neighborhoods, and then went to a truck company on Huntington Ave, which is between both divisions. So we kind of get good truck experience all around the city. That said, the way I made it to the rescue, I had tried to put it out there a long time ago to certain guys that were kind of like the rescue gurus that I was interested, and they all basically said, in time, right? And one day I just got lucky. The outgoing captain was getting ready to retire, and I went down to I was acting senior man on ladder 26, and I went down to the academy for a completely unrelated training event. And the senior rescue lieutenant was basically recruiting, because that was the captain's outgoing thing, is he was going to give him 5 guys. And when he saw me, he's like, "Hey, glad I ran into you today. You interested in coming to the rescue?" And I was being the senior man, so I was really trying to play it cool, but of course I was like,
Man, they were really scraping the bottom of the barrel if you were one of the top 5, huh?
It's a big
No one else was around.
Was there 3 people there or something? What happened?
I don't think he has many friends.
That's awesome, though. Hey, man, I still that patch you gave me in 2017 still on my bag, man. That was a big deal, man. I really appreciated that. A little special Boston one, New York buddies get a little mad, but I still rock it. So
Even better.
that's cool.
Hey, so what about you, Jayson? How's your process for you guys to get on the rescue?
it's a little bit easier for us than the fellows over in Boston have it. Ours is based on seniority. If you have the time and a spot opens up, you can bid it. Unfortunately, for many years, when we had some down years, the economy wasn't so good. Our rescue actually was getting browned out for many years, and the economy came back up. Our mayor was really good to us and really backed us. He got sick of pieces being out of service. He actually jumped the manning up. He fully staffed everything, and the rescue's back hard. And it was the perfect opportunity to jump over. And I've always worked on the rescue when it was in service, and they needed people because I was involved with all the tech rescue stuff. They needed someone that knew what they were doing because it was never fully manned. So I always had the opportunity to jump over and work with the guys that have been on for years. Again, we got older departments up here, and I was able to get a lot of knowledge from guys that were on the job for 30 years and such. So it was just a good opportunity. It was perfect timing where it came back in full service, and all this training started coming in, and we actually got a batch of new guys that are actually pretty excited about it. So the old idea of I'm on the way out the door, let's not go too crazy, kid, let's just eat some pizzas and chill the hell out till that vocal alarm goes off, has kind of changed around. And we've been very lucky in the past few years. Everybody on our truck is hard charger and really wants to go. So it was a perfect timing opportunity for me where I could have bid it a few years earlier, but it wasn't there. So it was just a good timing thing for me, a little different than Pat. At this point, I was kind of a senior man anyways, so I kind of had my choice of where I wanted to go.
Probably makes it a little sweeter, too.
Oh, yeah. Bump one of the new shits out of the way.
Now, for you guys, what classes do you guys have to sit on the rescue to actually bid in? What classes, what classes are the bare minimum that you guys need to actually be able to sit in to even bid the rescue?
Well, unfortunately for us, we're trying to get that to change. That if you want to be on the rescue, at least in my department, we're hoping to eventually get it where you're going to take the initiative on your end to show that you want to be on a specialty truck. Because I'm not trying to toot the horn of the rescue guys, but it's a specialty truck. We're there for a reason. We have the tools. We should know how to use them. You can't have some guy that doesn't want to do shit be on the truck. But when you do get on the station we're at now, it's the whole station, not even the just the truck. You have to go to rope. You have to go to confined space. You have to go to trench. And when you're on the rescue, you have to do the full structural collapse. And they start doing the rigging, the auto. It's been building over the years. So we don't have to have those to bid on, but when you get on, you have to do it. So it's pretty good. But we're taking a step in the right direction. We're always trying to make it better, but we're trying to learn the lessons from the past of how we did things wrong. And it takes a long time to turn that ship in the right direction, especially when you have people who don't like change. So,
well, it's just funny because you know now I have to pull the curtain back a little. We're on the spot here, but you think we're better than that, but it's exactly the same story, really. And this is a conversation that's been had many, many times throughout the special ops community, and it's in the works. It's been in the works, I think, since I've been involved and since even before that, but it's in the works, allegedly, maybe. Working on some sort of a selection process. But as of right now, everything's all bidding assignments are strictly seniority based. And there's a lot of positives about that. It's a big union thing, and it's the union who's really not wanting to budge on that, and I appreciate that. They got the right thing in mind. But even the whole I think for the whole department to realize special ops community is something different and is absolutely something more advanced. The only reason they know that is because they don't want to come to the house because they don't want to go to training every damn day like we do. That's pretty much all they know. Fuck that, I ain't going there.
Absolutely. That's a true story. That's a true story, bro.
It really
is.
That's the only thing that keeps the riffraff out right now.
I got a question for both of you guys, and either one of you can go first. What was the transition like? Both of you guys came from ladder companies. Is that correct? All right.
Yep.
What was the transition like from ladder across the floor or different firehouse, now to the rescue company? Myself, Greg, Herb, we've all been through transitional periods in our career where we've gone from a truck to an engine, or an engine to a truck, or a squad, or an ambulance to an engine. We've been through the gamut. That being said, there's always a time period that you actually go through the acclimation and you feel like you belong. The guys make you feel like you belong. You feel like you belong. How long was it before you yourselves felt like you belonged? And what was that transition like from going one day riding backwards on a truck company, and now you're sitting in a squad and all your job responsibilities changed? You guys can take it either way. Whoever wants to start.
Yeah, man. I mean, all right. So I had a pretty interesting scenario. I was actually deployed to Afghanistan when I put in for the rescue. I got that invite, and then I was like getting ready to head out. And so I actually filled out my paper and gave it to my lieutenant. And, I made some assurances to make sure we'd get in there. So I actually came home, and I had no home. I went back to Lab 26. They're like, hey, welcome back. Great to see you. Get your shit out of your locker, man. We got new guys. So the guys who I came on with, that we all transferred in at the same time, at least one of them was my classmates. I knew the other guys. They had already settled in. They'd already been there for like 5 months. And so it was a little bit of a growing pain, but I got very lucky in that we do have a intro to tech rescue school that everybody coming to a tech rescue company will get. In my case, it worked out that I got to get the school before I showed up. Cool. Which for me was a good refresher and to kind of realize, how Boston does it. So I think I had the luxury of knowing a lot of stuff. So tech rescue wise, it was a little bit easier. But as far as personality management and all that shit, just like any other firehouse transition, you gotta prove your shit, show up, do the stuff, and get through it.
How about you, Jay?
It wasn't a bad transition for me. My first year on the job, I was on an engine in the Peninsula, wicked slow station, barely did anything. After a year, jumped on the ladder. I still say it's the best position in our city. We cover half the city. We do a lot of work. It's basically you get to meet a lot of people on all the jobs because we cover a lot of different engines. But again, where I already did the tech rescue stuff and started learning it even before most of the guys that were on the rescue. And our department, again, we've always been kind of behind the times. It was something that I already started teaching in the military. And when we got new equipment in our department, actually Pat was very good about helping me teach the guys in our department how to use some of the new torches and some of the other equipment like the Vortex and stuff like that. So even before I was able to bid onto the rescue, it was something that I was already doing. And I worked with the rescue guys on different trainings we can do and getting them to train with us in the military. So it was a pretty easy transition moving over. It was just letting go of the fact that I was on the same truck for 14 years and really loved what I was doing. That was the hardest part for me, was just getting away from doing ladder work. Because standing on a roof, cutting holes, and waving to the hot newscasters, that was always fun. But in the rescue, you're setting up lights, hoping to be able to go rescue someone. But it was a good transition over. But the hardest part was letting go of the ladder work, for me at least.
That's awesome. That's pretty cool.
Hey, while we're talking about ladders, I know that's a big thing in BFD, Boston Fire. I know you guys, your ladder culture is like, I don't know if it's far superior or superior with an extra ladder. You know what I mean? But it's like that's a big thing with you guys. And to follow up on that, how does that play out, Pat? And then does that carry over to Quincy as well? Is that kind of a regional thing up there, or how does that work exactly?
Pat?
Yeah, that's a real it's like the first thing you learn. That's Boston's reputation, right? Once you start charging the guys from around, everybody's asking. We just take it for what it is because it's what we do. But the bottom line is if there's a window, let's get a ladder to it because that could be our way out. You know what I mean? we try to get it deep into the fire and get those searches going. And if you pretty aggressive interior attack operation. So ladders are your way out. I've seen guys, in my time on the job, I've seen some pretty serious bailouts happen. And if those ladders just weren't there, it might have been a different scenario. That said, we're a very young job, so we're making a push now. As Jay was talking, we have that 2-year back to basics cycle, and we're really trying to make sure that stays pushing forward as some of the older guys hit the road and the younger guys come up.
I think when they say, Boston throws so many ladders and all that, I think if the majority of the departments out there, and I'm not trying to trash anyone, it's not my jam, but I think if the majority of the departments out there would do half of what you guys do because of the bailout factor, the old construction brownstone style. I mean, we don't have the brownstones, but we have old construction that's kind of similar, but it's like, we're not Boston, we're not New York, but I think if they had the mentality of throwing the ladders the way you guys do and teaching it as, like you said, it's what we do, man, and I think that would make things better across the country, in my opinion. That's my humble opinion.
Agree.
100%.
Are you guys the same way in Quincy?
Well, it's something that I agree with your statement in general. We're more of a residential city, even being right next to Boston. Not quite a suburb. We got our shitty parts too, so we're still a crap city. But we're more residential than Boston. They get a lot more brownstone. They get a lot more high rise. They get a lot more everything else. But one thing that, again, being so close is something we always see. We got a lot of sparks on our job, so they're always talking about that is the ladder throws. And even like you said, if it doesn't have to be to that extent, but just get the whole concept of the idea. And Pat kind of hit on that of it might be one person's only way out. And if you did that once in your entire career, it's totally worth all the overthrowing of the ladders. Hey, we didn't need that. We didn't need that. We didn't need that. Now we got to put it away. At one time that someone needs it, it's worth all that extra work you've ever done in your life. It's something that, yet again, that we've been improving over the years, at least since I've been on. It might have been something that they hit on years and years past, but I've been noticing in my years of being on, it's something we're getting a lot better at. Even if it's a small one-bedroom fire at the front of the building, you can see something in the back that nobody else does. Just throw the ladder, especially if it's a small fire. What else are you doing? Get off your ass, throw a ladder out back, do a size up of the thing anyways, and maybe tell the deputy what's going on. It's too easy, and it's at minimum, the more you throw, the more you know. How do you get a ladder up there by yourself? Well, I had to do it a couple times. I know how to do it. I mean, it's just one of those. If you're on the scene, you're not doing anything. Shit, use it as a training opportunity.
Oh yeah.
It's a good thing. It's something that we've learned over Boston. A lot of the old timers say, "Hey, just because Boston does it doesn't mean it's the right thing to do," which is true, But
For sure.
but they hold on to a lot of those traditions for a reason. Because and the biggest thing is, God forbid you need to bail out, or God forbid a person just happened to get up out of bed and realizes a fire in their house. They can get out a window instead of just going, "Hey, I'm over here." There's already a ladder there. The person can self-evacuate. So there's a lot of positives to it.
Jay hit the nail on the head. How many times are there a bunch of guys standing around the front of the fire building with nothing to do? Waiting for somebody to tell them the magical fire god's going to come out. Unless the chief's holding you for a reason.
Well, we're having that same issue with RIT teams and stuff, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But so I got to do my first translation with you guys because you said Sparks. A lot of people might not know what Sparks is. It's kind of like your volunteer association, right?
Well, it's just the guys that get wicked hard-ons for any little fire anywhere near their house. I work with one. You got to run to the nearest fire. They have all the monitors on, with the scanners. If there's a fire in their area, they get the cameras, the best. They take great pictures. But
God bless them. God bless them.
They're good guys. They're good guys. They always are. But they know every fire in the county, in the state, but they always get the good pictures. All the pictures that I have ever had of me at fires because of these sparks.
So wicked hard on means excited, right?
Yeah, sorry. Very excited.
Okay,
Sorry.
yeah, I was just checking, just making sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I speak it a little bit, but I haven't been around you guys in a while, so I just want to make
Yeah,
sure.
there's varying levels of Sparks too. There's
Shit.
a book. There's a book. Shit, I got it over there too. I can't remember if it's but Ready to Roll, Ready to Die kind of goes into it, and it starts. He eventually became the commissioner, but when he was a firefighter, like way fucking back, he started as a Spark when he was 16. Way back, I'm talking like 30s, 20s, 1920s. They could the Sparks were basically like you were saying. They kind of were. They'd show up. They'd be young men who weren't firefighters, and they'd help out. And if they did their dues, they'd give them a fucking helmet, But way different move forward now. Now you got varying degrees. There's Sparks that are not on the job, and there's Sparks that are on the job. You know what I mean? There's a whole different thing in there. I'm not going to get into all of it, but they do.
And they have a museum.
They do. So we have a museum in Boston. Yeah.
Yep.
And so the Sparks Association is a private organization that runs the Boston Fire Museum.
Yep.
And they also man a canteen truck, 810. It's a legitimate call sign. They report the fire alarm. They're the boss. They bring everything you want, man. Pizza, coffee, hot towels, everything but a massage. Hopefully we're working with that.
They do funerals for us.
Hot towels.
Hot towels, man, to get the cancer away.
We don't need
Oh
hot
my
towels
God.
in Florida.
Yeah, that's true.
Hey, let's delete that from the whole podcast. Hot towels for the Boston Fire Department. Oh my God, dude.
All right, well, here's the thing. You can't delete it. Here's why. The actual basis behind it is cancer prevention. So
there
it's
you
to come
go.
out and clean the shit off, before it gets into your pores.
Great.
Yep.
So you had to kill my joke.
Just
Now
saying,
I feel
yeah.
horrible. Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah,
Yeah, those are
that's
good
great.
guys. The Sparks, they show up to funerals. They show up to a lot of events for us. They're really good people. We give them shit, but they're actually great guys. Really good guys.
Well, I will have to say that when we went to downtown, me and Herbie have been to Boston quite a few times, catching Sox games when they were actually doing well, but we won't get into that right now because that's a sore subject. But
Yeah, it is.
we went into the Sparks Museum and they were actually closed, but there was an old timer in there. I wish I would have got his name, and he was like, "Come on in, fellas." He probably took us in there for an extra hour, and just walked us around, and found out we were, what we were doing and all that. I think he ended up throwing us a couple shirts, but we took all our money out of our pocket and threw it in there because it was such a great organization. But I mean, I couldn't say enough about downtown where that Sparks Association Museum is. It's awesome.
Well, thanks for finding the hot towels, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. When we left, they gave us hot towels too. It was awesome.
Did you love it?
It was amazing. It was amazing.
I have a comment to make because the two brothers from the New England area are giving us an insight into their world, and it'd be unfair if we don't address the people down here. Since we're South Florida based, we really do need to consider adopting a lot of that ladder culture. I love the fact that you guys talk about throwing ladders at every fire, and to be honest with you guys and offer like complete transparency, we don't do that down here often. It's very department based. Some of the older agencies do, some of the older cities do, but you have a lot of the agencies that do not. And you'll get to fires very often, and there will be no ladders on multifamily or multi-story buildings or even single-family buildings that have multi-floors. And the guys and girls don't think about that. We're throwing those ladders up not only for the victims, but we're throwing it up for us. Not only are we making, there's so many advantages to it. We're throwing up ladders, getting them off the truck. We're addressing the need for targeted searches. We're getting out of the way of the engine companies. We're getting ahead of the hose lines. We're getting above the hose lines. We're hitting those high target areas where people may still be able to, make some kind of rescue or get them out of there ahead of the fire hose and ahead of the water application. And not only that, we make it safer for our members and the engine companies that are inside, and give them that secondary means of egress. A lot of times we get locked into this whole concept. I'm speaking specifically for South Florida because that's the area that I grew up in, the area that I've been working at for the last 19 plus years, where what am I throwing a ladder up? The engine's got a good knock on it. Fires above the first floor. But, the ladder's not only there for the victims or our victims are out, it's also there for our members. And anytime I talk to guys from either LA, the West Coast, guys from up in New York, or you guys in the New England area, I wish we would adopt a lot more of that culture down here, because I think it's so important. And I commend you guys for maintaining that and doing it, man. That's awesome. Good job. Keep it up, fellas.
Nice. That's one thing we can all learn from each other. I mean, every part of the country has their thing that they're strong at. Boston's known for their ladders, but I mean, you know, that's the important thing of something as simple as this podcast. We can all share the idea of why we do certain things, and it kind of awakens someone to that thought process. They can start adapting that to their department, or at least their company, and hopefully it spreads from there.
Absolutely.
Well,
The other thing I throw in on again is, and this is probably a Boston specific thing, but one thing we're trying to deal with now is we've done it so good for years. Like I was telling you, we're trying to make sure that all the young guys we've had it since I came on. I mean, several hundred new guys, and not new anymore, but guys came on after me, and I don't consider myself that salty. So we're trying to push all the stuff we've learned from the old timers. And one thing we get wrapped up on is the 35-foot ladder, because it's like our bread and butter. Excuse me, I don't know how to say that without an accent. Bread and butter, you know, it's like a thing that you do every day, a basic situation.
Is that butter? Are you saying butter?
That's it.
Margin.
Margin.
But the whole thing is just look at your whole arsenal of equipment. You don't have to get stuck on, you know, throwing ladders all the way to the third floor. Don't forget the first floor and the second floor too. I mean, grab that 20-foot roof ladder and throw it to the second floor window by yourself. You know what I mean? Just think outside the box. You don't have to get all wrapped up by academy stuff.
Yeah, I have it's funny you say that. I didn't mean to cut you off, Herb, but it's funny you say that. I got a fireman that works with us, and he is basically borderline trying to get me in trouble because he wants like a 6 or 8 foot ladder strapped to the back of our squad. And I'm like, look, I'm in. I'm trying to do it, but it's not happening as fast as I want. So, like, my driver and everyone's kind of beating me up on it. Well, we went to a house one day just kind of walking around, and I had those two were not on my truck with me walking around, and I looked at the ladder. The ladder was, now granted, I'm a solid 5, 6, and an 1/8. But this with boots on. Thanks, Rob. This window was 6 foot. It was a single story house. It was a 6 foot commercial window still. And I'm like, this is it. This is the perfect. So I took pictures to try to get it in there. But realistically, what we're going to have to do is take a shorter ladder and cut it. Now, obviously, you know, throwing ladder to the second floor, and we don't throw the 35 much. We actually our setbacks are not that bad in a lot of areas to where we try to get our quints, ruin the fire service, but we won't get into that. But our quints or ladder trucks close enough to where, but we do have guys that can throw 35, and it takes 3 guys. You guys throw it with 3, Pat, or you throw it with 2?
We do. I mean, well, 3 is the ideal, but we throw with 2.
Yeah,
so we're pretty well versed on.
See, that's I mean, it's kind of horrible to say that. That's a skill in itself, and it shouldn't be.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean? I think that's what drives us nuts about that.
I got a question for the brothers. Do they have quints? You guys have quints in New England?
Isn't he the guy from Jaws?
Okay, folks, that's it.
All right, turn this shit off.
That's a good one, Pat.
Listen, I ride a quint. That's why I'm asking. I'm not fucking proud of it. It's what I ride. I ride a quint.
We had a chief a few years ago. I'm not trying to shit on anyone. He had a fucking hard on for a quint for some reason. And
what's a quint? That's great.
Yeah.
Oh God.
The city told him not to buy it. The council told him not to buy it, and he wanted it. And we had it. We had it for years. It was a 75-foot ladder that we had in the department for many years, and it suits its purpose. I'm not trying to shit on the company. I'm not trying to shit on anyone who has it. It's just not something for our city or most cities around where we are. Our union fought it to not be used as a pump, and it never was. So in hindsight, it was just a waste of money. We had ladders and we had pumpers. It wasn't a need for us. I definitely see the need for it in some departments, and it could be utilized. It exists for a reason, as does most equipment. Someone might need it somewhere, and by all means use it. But We don't like them up here in the major cities. And
we don't like them down here, Jason.
we were glad to
Big
get rid of
stick.
it. We were glad to get rid of it.
Listen, we don't like them down here. I ride one currently. I'm assigned to a Quinn company. I don't have a union that backs me like your union backed you. So my union says we operate as a truck, and I try not to hook up ever to a fucking plug, and I never try to stretch lines on it. All right, but if I have to, I will. If I have to, I will. This is my definition of a Quinn company. It's the modern day fire service apparatus. Some days I identify as a truck, other days I identify as an engine. Most of the time, I'm a fucking ambulance. All right.
You're so angry, dude. You're so angry about that.
I'm gonna drink till I'm not angry.
Oh, I'm still getting the tears out of my eyes from the comments, dude.
Hey,
I ride a ladder.
All right, so Bobby Bennett sent a question in. He wanted to know from both you guys, what's the biggest change you guys have seen in your career, either positive or negative?
Shit.
360 years of tradition unimpeded by progress. I haven't seen shit.
He's on fire today, dude.
This guy's a one-man show. We got to bring him on every week.
We're gonna run out of spaces to put people with all these people that are always on the show.
Oh,
no, my bad.
We're gonna do it. I mean, I'm just saying, you know.
I'd say, thankfully, over the past few years, it's something that's just started. We've seen a big turnover, and don't get me wrong, I love a lot of the old guys on our job, and I greatly miss them. Learned so much from them because they've had experiences back in the 70s and 80s that we'll never see now. The fires just aren't around because of fire prevention, which is a good thing. But like I said, you said it on one of the other podcasts. We don't want anybody to get a fire, but if there is one there, I want to be there, goddammit. So the thing that I've seen as of recently is the fact that a lot of people aren't so they're not fighting the fact that we're training more, and we're finally starting to see some good training. Like I said, Boston started doing their back to basics 2-year rotation, something that we're trying to implement. There was a safety meeting either yesterday or today about that we're pushing that. Guys aren't fighting the training. We had a guy in our job that said, you can't teach me anything that I haven't learned in 30 years. And later on that day, he drove into a Jersey barrier. I mean, that's just the epitome of it right there. We need to train for many reasons. So that's the biggest change I think I've seen is the idea of we don't just sit and wait for the vocal alarm to go off. We would try to be one of the biggest fights we have in our department is we're a reactive fire department, not a proactive fire department. And a few of us are trying to turn it around. And it's nice to see that, you know, that feeling that most guys get to do that. I guess that's the biggest change. You know, trying to take those steps forward to get to where we should already be. You know what I'm saying?
No, I couldn't agree more. I don't even know where to begin with that.
I can help because I actually have to jump in because my shit was funny, but it's also very untrue.
Wait, but hold on a second. Do you have that little post-it note above the computer that we talked about?
Thank you.
Don't talk shit about the captain. Okay, just making sure, bro. I'm here for you, Pat. I always look out for you, man.
I appreciate that very much. No, to be honest with you, it's seen a shit ton of change since I've been in the job, and it's all good. When I came on, man, you learned to breathe smoke because we had half-hour bottles and only good for like 15 minutes. So you fucking breathe that shit till you can't to save your air so you can actually do some good in the fire. You know what I mean? Right. And that's literally how I came up. That was how it was. And I thought it was fucking stupid, but it's what we did, you know?
Yeah.
And we could go down the road. I've seen a bunch of scenarios where I started to change my mind real quick, and I have a lot of regrets that I didn't learn that lesson sooner, but got to give credit where it's due. Previous commissioner, who was one of our deputies, came up, Joe Finn. He really pushed a huge cancer initiative, and I'm leading the charge on that. And we have changed almost very subtle changes to a lot of the shit that we do when it comes to masking up. First of all, wearing hoods. So when I came on, and you guys talked about this couple episodes ago with one of the FDNY rescue Jakes. But yeah, I don't really prefer hoods. I like wearing it because I like having the neck protection. But
Right.
I like if my ears are burning, I got to be out of there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now we have to wear them, and that's okay. As it was also mentioned in that you adapt to what your department's looking for, right? So, but anyhow, overall, cancer was one of the big things. And the other thing I absolutely have to touch on that was a huge, huge progressive change was our apparatus maintenance. And that all stemmed from my company, Ladder 26. I came in that company just after, in the wake of Lieutenant Kevin Kelly,
Yep.
who was killed on the line of duty when his truck hit the building. Coming down Parker Hill Ave, the brakes went out. And the messed up part about this is I had been in so many scenarios with shitty maintenance trucks that I was like, somebody's going to have to die before this changes. And then when I got a text message that Lab 26 had hit a building, my response was, again? I had no idea how catastrophic it was, but at the time. But they had actually done that before in a very similar scenario, and they steered into the building because the brakes were out. So they used the building to stop the truck. And
That's crazy.
since that happened, and that, that's got history too. That goes back to budget cuts in 1982, I believe, Proposition 2.5. They cut half the fire in the city. They cut the maintenance staff. And ever since then, it was like, 3 or 4 firefighters doing oil changes and sending it out to a contractor if it couldn't be done. So now we have a very extensive, not only do we have an extensive maintenance program, we have an extensive apparatus replacement program that sees no frontline the goal is anyway, no frontline apparatus is on the road more than 10 years.
Yep.
It could be a spare after that, but I think that's fantastic. Still problems with it, and I can get into that, but but I want to highlight there's a huge, huge change that has happened in my career when it comes to those two particular things. So
I'd like to jump off of that, if you don't mind. Sorry to cut you off there.
No, go for it.
Boston's been pushing huge on the cancer. They've got all these things out on the internet, articles and interviews with people who are going through a lot of the cancer that we are more apt to get. Our department has jumped up. Again, Finn was really pushing hard on that stuff, and we learned a lot. And we're already starting to get you've seen it now. And I'm glad you said this, Pat. Thank you for doing so. We're starting to get extractors in every station. We just got some. We're working with our city on putting decon rooms in every building, every station. We've got 2 of them done now. They're starting to push. We've only got 8 stations in our city. We're not a big department, not nearly as big as Boston or some of the other bigger cities. But it's a room. It's set up to, before you even leave the apparatus floor, after you decon all your equipment, you're not allowed to do anything until you decon the equipment so it's ready to go back out again. Change your gear, put it in the extractor, get your second set of gear, take a shower before you ever go anywhere in the firehouse because everything's going to be off gas and you're spreading all the carcinogens. That's another big thing. I'm glad you said that, Pat. Again, thank you for doing so. Our department's really been very progressive, and the city's been very, very helpful in doing so about making sure the cancer that we are so prone to get is minimized and doing whatever they can to do it. Being the hoods are getting really pushed. We're getting new hoods, better hoods, all these different things. They're pushing the fact you got to wear them. Go put it on. You're not going to fire. I see, to use Pat's department as an example, a district chief is showing up, and he gets out of the car and puts his hood on. He's got his tank on. The chief usually sits back and points, directs traffic, but he's putting the gear on too. If he's doing it, you better do it. And it's a really good move, moving for to go forward again, trying to catch up to where we should be. It's shit guys should have been doing years ago, and it's a really good move. Boston started it. Boston really was not really started it, but they're making a big progressive push, and a lot of the departments are picking up. And we're lucky enough to be one of the departments that were. Our union guys are really good, and our safety committee is good about getting us on this. And
hey, so Jayson, let's stay on this for a second because this is an absolute. I don't even know, a grenade in my fire department, so to speak, the department that Herbie and I work at. So I absolutely agree with the extractors and everything to prevent cancer. I absolutely agree with all that, every bit of it.
Yep.
Because no fireman, presumed fireman, signs up for the fire service and goes, you know what, man, I can't wait till I get cancer because now I'm a badass. You know what I'm saying? But what I don't agree with, and our fire chief, I think we have a female fire chief. I think she does a fantastic job on a lot of that stuff. I don't know the ins and outs about it. I don't want to get into the political side because I'm probably being watched and potentially administrative hearing tomorrow morning if I say something wrong.
Hey,
But-
remember Pat's post it. It
That's
applies
right.
to you too.
Pat, I got one. I got one right here. Pat.
You're
got
going
one
down
right
that road. You're going down that road, Greg. I got
Thank
you,
you,
Ben.
Rob. Thank you, Rob. We're
got
working
you.
on that one,
Thanks,
Pat.
Rob.
I'm looking out for you, dude. You weren't helping. But so
I was muted. Rob took care of it.
what I don't agree with on this is slowing down the response for the patrons, because we are absolutely there, and I don't care what anyone says, I'll fight this to the grave. We were there to assist the personnel. I don't care if it's saving their back Florida room in their house so they don't have to sleep in a hotel for 4 months versus snagging their kid out of the back room on the second floor burner at 2 o'clock in the morning. That's why we're there. If you slow our response time down, there's going to be a lot of resistance. If you help us get through, make us scrub our gear, you have a company officer like myself. I'm big on scrubbing my gear and all that. I'm not 100%. I will cut corners, don't get me wrong. But if you get all that stuff and you give me the tools for me to handle it, I'll do well. But I want my crew to get off the truck, tools in, ready to go to work. That's where it falls short. So what's your take on that?
Well, let me ask you. You guys have a second set of gear, right?
Yes.
That's where I was going with this. Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think there's anything that we've put in an initiative that has slowed down response. It's certainly added to recovery. You know, everything we do to make up and when we go back. One thing that's been talked about, and I don't know, I actually don't know the department's official policy because it wouldn't matter because nobody's doing it. But there was discussions about like, hey, maybe we go out of service for a little while after fire, but nobody's going to fucking do that for exactly what you just said, right? That's why the second set of gear is the only thing that I can really see. But I guess I'm saying I agree with you completely, and I'm open to hear ideas about it. You know.
Well, so some of our apparatus have the air packs on the outside.
Oh,
So when you get out of the truck, and let's face it, not on paper, because on paper 2 out of the 3 guys will have their air packs with them in the cab, which could potentially be unsafe. But it takes a minute for them to get out, slap their air packs on, and all that. Meanwhile, you know, you haven't run into this scenario that everybody throws in your face. You know, hey, oh my God, my kid's on the 3rd floor, and these guys are putting all their gear on. Realistically, it's an air pack. I remember when I first came on, the air packs were on the outside of the truck. Then they started going back to the seat, made things faster. Now they're going back to the end of the truck. So it's almost like we're going in reverse a little bit to where we want to go for the most part. And like I said, I'm not trashing anyone. I'm throwing a scenario out because I want data to prove the point. That's my theory on it.
Absolutely, I agree with you completely because we've heard that lately too, that push for that, and that's been in the talks. I'm not sure where we landed on it as far as putting the packs on the outside. But my take on it, and this is just Pat Hayden here. I forgot to do that disclaimer. I like that Tim Iglesias did in the last one. This is just my opinion, but I'm pretty sure everybody knows that.
Well, once Timmy did it, it's open forum for everyone. So you're complete.
It just goes, right?
If you say something wrong, if you say something wrong, Timmy gets in trouble. That's how it works.
But I mean, you got practice versus books, right? So SOPs, we're supposed to. Let's say you're going out to lunch, right? And you got you're in your station gear and you got everything with you. You receive, a box comes in. We're supposed to pull over and everybody's going to bunker up on the sidewalk before we get back in the truck and respond to the fire. Listen, man, that's what the book says, and I'm not going to talk out of school, but you think that is what we're going to do? And do you think that that's what a mother whose child's in the house wants from us?
No.
Hell no. I mean,
the answer is no.
We sign up to a job that there's a lot of risks involved. So what we do is mitigate it the best that we can. You know what I mean? And that's why these conversations and data points and working with the best that we can, but you cannot let that cloud your overall objective, which is to save lives and property, specifically lives. You know what I mean? Most importantly. So you can't slow the response.
Herbie,
can't-
you've looked into a little bit of this too. What's your take on it, man? I mean, you kind of got a little bit of a different aspect of this whole clean cab thing.
It's so the information that I've researched and everything I'm taking for it, and this is just my personal view.
Hey, read that note. Read that note. Don't say anything bad about the captain or any chiefs. All that at the top, right there, bro.
Hey, trust
I
me.
see it brewing. I see it brewing.
Trust me. It's this is my own personal view on it. It's they're in the fire service. That pendulum starts swinging, and we've never in the fire service have got that pendulum right where we want it. It either goes one way so far left or so far right, and right now it is just a big push for clean cab this, gross decon that. I am 100% okay with deconning yourself. Guys used to make fun of me. So I used to keep baby wipes with me before all these other companies took fucking baby wipes and designed them as badass fire hero wipes and all this other stuff. I was cleaning myself off and then using a neti pot when I got back.
True
And
story.
people would make fun of me. Well, I'm
just glad I didn't think of it.
yeah, well, I'm 100% okay with that. But what I'm not okay with is the gimmicks of, okay, well, we got clean cab this, so you know what, your air pack and your gear is going to sit outside. Well, what is that really doing for us? We signed up for something that we knew was dangerous to begin with. Now, I'm not saying sit there and walk around with a salty fire helmet, not wash your gear for 2 years and sit there and look like a badass, because that's not the badge of honor. The badge of honor is being 70 years old, sitting there collecting your retirement and being able to pass down those stories to the younger generation about how we did things. But there comes a time when eventually we have to say, okay, we signed up for this job to help the civilians and help the people that called us. And at what cost are we willing to say, okay, you know what? We're not helping them out no more. We're more worried about ourselves. And the data shows that, hey, the clean cab concept sounds good on paper. There's a lot of things that sounded good on paper in the fire service that were implemented and got thrown out. Prime example, the Quint. We go right back there. It sounds good on paper, but the reality is it's not worth the fuck.
Poor Rob, dude. Poor Rob.
And
I'm used to it.
and that's my take on it. Everyone I've talked to that has implemented the clean cab concept, 9 out of 10 of those people their departments have went back to doing it how they've always done it, keeping their gear in the truck. Whether, okay, you got soiled gear, okay, put it in a bag, go back, get your second set of gear, decon your air packs. Because I can tell you, when I got in the fire service, we never cleaned our air packs. If you had a fiberglass or something on there, okay, you got the bulk of it off, and that was it. So the guys are smarter now. They realize, okay, it isn't a badge of honor, but how far are we going to let that pendulum swing? Eventually, what are we going to do? We're just going to put a drone up in the air, hook a hose to it, and they're going to be fighting the fire before you know it. I mean, that's the way the fire service is going. And to be quite honest with you, we got to stop being pussy.
Amen.
Hey, hold on, go back to that drone thing, because if the drones will transport medical calls, I'm in, dude.
Yeah, they can have that part of the job, right?
Absolutely.
Nice.
No, but it's like the whole, the night that we have the same thing in the military. You put on so much armor, you're getting, you can't do your job anymore. There's got to be that perfect balance. After every call, you can't always clean up and fully decon before you get in the truck and supposedly contaminate the truck to get back in later on. You do what you can, and that's it. Taking these steps are a huge part, but like you said, you've got to balance that. And I think you nailed it, Herb. That was a great point.
Yeah, absolutely. Clean cabs don't make grabs, brother.
Oh,
Sure.
amen.
That's a nice
Amen.
T-shirt.
Kid, he doesn't have a note saying "Don't make fun of the captain." He's got all these little sayings written down.
Right next to where it says "Don't talk smack about the captain." Right, no cheesy cliches either.
Dude, I'm a dad now. That's what I do.
Oh yeah, I know the feeling, bro.
Listen, Jay. Honestly, the New England area, the Boston guys raised a lot of awareness to actual cancer. A lot of guys down south, we've been doing it for a while. They put on a lot of national videos that we all watched and looked at and understood what they were going through and saw the changes they implemented. They were huge. We buried a brother. We buried a brother, Mark Weiss, 2 months ago from cancer. There's, raise a cup to him. Rest easy, bro. Father of two beautiful girls, husband to a wife, excellent fireman, hard-nosed, hard charger. The Hebrew Hammer was no joke, and we all love and miss him. And that's not the way he wanted to go out. None of us want to go out that way. And Greg hit the nail on the head. None of us signed up for this job to go out and fucking chemo and on cancer.
That's right.
Because of smoke, because of exposure, because of that nonsense. Listen, we all understood. We're getting in there. We're going into shitty situations. We're running into buildings that roaches are running out of. Shit happens. We're good with it. I'm going in there with my guys. I'm going in there. I'm gonna come out. But I'm not gonna set myself up for failure with cancer. I also agree with Herb. The whole clean cabs don't make grabs. That's 100%, man. I can't imagine. Honestly, showing up to a high-speed, high-energy scene and having a dad or a mom wait for me to turn out and get my gear on, get my mask on, get my air pack on in their front yard, on their stoop, on the front step. It just makes no sense to me. If you start implementing practices to prevent cancer that are going to delay our response, that are going to change our tactics and strategies, the men and women will not follow it, and it's doomed for failure. If you want us to bathe, you want us to change our gear, you want to give us 2 sets of turnout, you want us to go back to the firehouse and shower within the hour, you want us to have an extra hood, you want non-permeable hoods, we're going to follow that. And it'll take time. We'll decon on scene. We'll do our thing. We'll clean the cabs. But if you want me to turn out, because seconds are minutes and minutes matter. These people are in there in that space in pajamas, and we're showing up with turnout gear, the best that money can buy. And it is our job to switch places with them and occupy that space and get them out at 2 in the morning. But I'm gonna sit there and put my mask on. And let's be honest. I don't give a fuck where you work. Not everyone that shows up on scene gets masked up and on air in 30 seconds and 60 seconds and 90 seconds. It just doesn't happen. Now you're that dad, your kid's in the bottom of that pool, and you're watching Joe Blow fireman, who plays fireman every third day, trying to mask up in your front yard. It's about them. It's not about us. And that's my beef with the whole cancer thing. The second that we start making it so much about us and sitting there and getting dressed on scene and moving all our air packs and putting them outside the truck and changing our tactics and our response time in seconds and minutes, it just makes no sense to me. And that's not what we signed up for at all. That's my position.
Man, you guys are on fire, dude. Here's the thing. The pendulum swings in all these scenarios, right? There's nothing you can do about that. It's always overreaction. I started this argument not started. I've been a part of this argument a long time ago when it came to PTSD. And to reference your last episode, awesome. You guys really nailed it out of the park. But you got post-traumatic stress. You got post-traumatic stress reactions. You got post-traumatic stress disorder, which everybody knows, and that's like everybody puts it under that. Very few people talk about post-traumatic growth. Well, it's the same shit, all right? We can't just start throwing shit at the wall. Good idea, fairy comes in, fund it, send it, make it an SOP, and not look at what's really going on here. You got to come down to the very fucking core of what we do. And of all things to not get tainted by political correctness, the fire service has to stand above because our mission is saving lives, and that's it, man. So 100%. You guys both said it. We've all said it. Mitigating risk, it's something we do professionally. We can do it. We can handle that. Give us the tools to succeed, to clean our shit up, to prevent cancer, but don't force it down our throats in a way that's going to stop us from doing our jobs, because then everybody loses.
Well, the big thing, too, is these policies, total hypocrisy. Like, I need you to be in your gear in 1 minute. I need you to be out the door in less than 2 minutes. I need you to drive no more than 10 over the speed limit so you can speed and get there. But then when you get there, hold on. Now you got to open 4 compartments and get your air pack, your mask out of the clean cab and your tools, and then size the building. It's like, come on, man. Like, where do we draw the line here?
Who's sizing the building? Who's doing the 360? Who's checking for which way we're going in? Who's stretching the line? Who's doing that?
Yeah, exactly.
No one's doing that. We're getting our air packs on with our backs to the building.
Well, and the other thing too is I rely on my driver to be good enough to park the truck knowing where unless it's a unique situation.
Yeah.
I don't have time to be, oh, God, man, where did I put my tool? I think I cleaned it and put it in this compartment, but my air pack's here and my mask is here and, my boot is here and I got to put my gloves in the bumper. It's like, when does it end, man?
Hey,
Yeah.
Greg, I know that speed man reminded us. You're speaking from the officer perspective, or
Yeah, speak from boss.
from the
Yeah,
right
the boss
side?
of the truck. But so these guys in the station, they train and they get on air in mask up everything on 15 seconds and they're like, hey Cap, you think you can beat me? And I'm like, yeah. I said I can absolutely beat you because I gotta do a lap of the building, I gotta size the building up, I gotta do a radio transmission, I gotta get units going, and then I gotta have my mask on. So if I got it on by that time, then I got you beat. And they're like, all right, good tip. And I'm like, you do you and I'll do me. But
Yeah.
we need to be on the same page. I get it, man. I get it 100%. I appreciate those guys that can do mask in 10 seconds and beat everyone's face in. But I don't think they should have to mask up in 10 seconds if it takes 30 more to put their air pack on.
Yeah.
Let them be at the front door and mask up in 10 seconds and be done like that.
You should have your gear on when you get off the truck. And,
Absolutely. To where all you have to do is
hard
mask.
with the NFPA, whatever the standards and stuff. We can talk about that. I mean, they're based here in Quincy, but I wish they talked with us more. And we've tried to build a relationship with them. But something as simple as SCBA's outside, you have to wear your seatbelts. Don't get me wrong, seatbelts save lives. I'm not trying to say don't wear your seatbelts, but again, with our industry, as you guys kind of hit upon it, you need to be ready to go. And if you get out of the truck and you start putting your pants on, you're putting your hood on, you're putting your mask on, you're getting SCBA, people are going crazy. Those 15 seconds is 15 minutes for everyone. And as you said, you need to be ready to go. Every fire doubles in size every minute. You need to be shit hot when you get off the truck and at least look like you know what you're doing. You're going to slow down. We don't run to fires. We want to size things up. But giving us that 15 seconds that I can get dressed in the truck that they've tried to take away from us, those are the things you're never going to get a firefighter to bend on. We're going to get that beeping alarm going off the whole time, keeping that SCBA right here so I can do this without moving. Do this.
Absolutely.
I get out of the truck and I'm ready to go. All I got to do is grab my tools. That could be the difference in someone's life. And even just their mindset. Pat kind of hit on with the whole PTSD. You're watching who's supposed to save your life get off the truck and dilly-dally. Why aren't you ready when you get here? You had a 3-minute drive, 4-minute drive to get here. You're never going to get a firefighter to give up on that, especially if the stuff's in their truck. And moving it to the outside of the truck is one of the arguments we've been fighting, and we don't ever want to see that. Luckily, we haven't yet, but
I think it'll be back. To be honest with you, I think it's kind of a knee-jerk reaction. But I think they're going to be like, you know what? These crews are responsible enough to clean their gear, and all that, and get it done. And you know what? We can shave a minute because, like I said, on the beginning side, they want you out the door quick. But let's talk about when you arrive. It takes an extra 30 seconds here, 30 seconds there. Now you're getting on the second floor when it's flashing. Maybe you get there a little bit earlier, or worst case scenario, why don't we just not go lights and sirens and get there way later to where it flashes and we're like, okay, well now it's not really going to burn us. It's already completely involved. You know what I mean? So that was sarcasm too, by the way.
Well, but it also goes back to the whole mindset of it's what's that trending topic in the fire service at that time. It's the fog nozzle. It's the combi tool. It's all that nonsense that's the trending topic for that moment. Everybody jumps on it, runs with it because that's the cool thing. So as long as guys understand, guys and girls, let's be politically correct here. If they understand that we have a job, we have a mission, and it's okay to actually take the mission and better it. But if we're putting in actions and putting in policies that are hindering the positivity and the likelihood of us giving grabs, then we're defeating the whole process. It's like Greg said, we might as well not even respond lights and sirens. We might as well just get off the truck and go lackadaisy. We might as well not train as much. So as long as we can find that happy medium, and there's not a fireman in the world that's not going to agree that, hey, look, I want to enjoy my retirement. I want to sit here and live to see my grandkids have grandkids. Then we're going to understand that, okay, there's stuff that we can put in play, like what Boston did, what Quincy's doing, what we're doing down south with actually cleaning your gear and getting all those contaminants off you. Okay, yeah, we're moving in the right step, but don't sit here and try to put so much shit and make you slow your job down so much because you're trying to be so safe. This job is not meant to be safe. You are going to find yourself in some shitty situations, and that's the reality of it. So if you're trying to be that safe, well, then guess what? You can go be a cop or something. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
Hey, be careful. You got one halfway cop on here.
But I thought we weren't talking about that.
Oh, my bad.
Who's
My
this?
bad.
Both my parents are cops.
My bad, dude. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
I thought we were off the air real quick. I wasn't sure.
Hey, so let's get off the clean cabs because we'll literally sit here all night and freaking.
And I'm starting to get aggravated.
So
Easy cap.
one of my questions to both you guys was, everybody has within the USAR world, and the five of us are grossly involved in USAR. What is the main discipline that you two find yourself totally involved in? That's your baby. Is it structural collapse? Is it rope? Is it VMR? What is that one discipline that you guys find yourself really intrigued by?
I think Pat's kind of the same way I am, but I'll answer myself. Ropes is something that I've kind of gotten more. They're a lot more fun. You can do so much cool shit with it. It's a lot. It's a lot of fun. It's things that when you get that hook, you just want to learn more. You want to learn more. You want to know tricks. You're just sitting around. You start messing with knots. All these little. It's a lot of fun, cool things. Most of the shit that you want to train on is stuff you'll never do because it's that low frequency, high risk thing. But it's a lot of fun to do. It keeps people's interest. But to jump back to the military side, where Pat and I kind of tie in here together, is the task force. And it's things that I've learned with the county teams that we work with, especially Norfolk County. Mark McCabe, I don't know if you guys all know Mark. He's a well-known.
I do know Mark from Plymouth.
Everyone knows Mark. He's
Plymouth.
He's awesome. He pushes for the Norfolk County guys. He pushes shoring, and it's one thing that why do we always do shoring? But I've learned that it is so important because it's not just about shoring that building. You can use it in confined space. You can use it in trench. I know. Here we go. Stroke yourself. Pump that head.
I didn't say anything.
I know. Vanna White over here, right?
Vanna White.
Something I whipped up for you guys real quick for the Northeast.
Him, the wife, the kids, just right before the show.
Has Mark McCabe inspected it, though? That's the real
something that
question.
we try to make sure we do in every training. It's an easy thing to train on. You can use the same cuts, even just being able to practice putting it together. Shoring is, you use it in lifting and moving. Cribbing, something as simple as cribbing. It makes you think about calculating weights. Shoring ties in with so many things. It's so important that I accidentally kind of made that my go-to thing, and I got to give Mark McCabe kind of credit on that one. I didn't even realize I was doing it, but from learning from him, it was really good. But I have to say, ropes is my thing that I love to do. But shoring is the accidental thing I've jumped on because it is so important and it ties in so many of the other disciplines.
What I do like about shoring too, and I'm sure hopefully some of my crew listen. Maybe they're tired of hearing me, but it's a good TR Tech Rescue call number if you want to get it out. and then we keep extra plywood on our TR truck for the most part, and we'll board up a house or something after a fire, break a couple windows. So you pad your numbers, but the patron in our city is extremely happy, and stuff that they do is just like, hey, the fire department really took care of me. So that helps. That's cool. You know what I mean?
Congratulations, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
I
don't
think it's a
think that
good
would
thing.
fly here. We got a lot of aggressive private companies that are
Oh, yeah.
stocks. They show up before the fucking.
That's my
They show
job.
up before us sometimes,
my
man,
job.
before those things up.
We're talking to the normal towns, not city
Yeah,
of Boston.
fair enough.
Normal towns.
We've been doing
Not
this a long
Beantown.
time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you guys have made everyone mad. Nobody wants you guys around. They made former companies.
Fucking
Step aside and
Sam
the rescue
Adams.
one. But no, but actually, Jay literally took the wind out of my sails. That's why we butt heads and get along so good, because fucking basically 100% the same answer. The whole thing is, I mean, everything you do, it's and Greg, I know this goes right up your alley, but you're talking about how you see buildings, but ultimately all the disciplines kind of roll into the big event, which would be the big structural collapse, right? You had like a real deal, widespread, or maybe World Trade Center's event kind of deal. All the disciplines come in. So I guess structural collapse is really the Mac Daddy. But if you don't have all your other shit in line, you're not going to be there. But that being said, we've been doing a huge push lately in Boston on getting our water rescue right. And I'm having a great time with it. I'm loving every minute of it. We're getting a lot of good training, a lot of good instructors, a lot of good scenarios being built up. And we've, it's something that we do all the time anyway, but now we're doing it a lot better. Like a lot better.
Awesome.
We got better gear, better equipment, and, just by far better responses. So I have to say that right now, water is totally taking up a lot of my time, but in a very good way.
So you guys did swift water and boat operator and all that? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and the way that's kind of trickling down, they did like a basically they tried to implement it. They've been implementing it, and it's gone through a couple different phases that are kind of like trial and error. So I was on military duty for the last betterer one, but I was in phase 2 where I got good training and I got the cool suit. So I got good stuff and good opportunities, but I missed one of the schools, so I'm looking forward to trying to get into that. But yeah, we're doing swift water. We're looking to, it is something that's going on. We've had higher tides. We've had a lot of. There was a pretty popular photo. I don't know if everybody saw it, but Tower Ladder 3 was like a submarine driving in downtown Boston underwater. This was last year, or a couple of years ago. But we're seeing those scenarios play out more and more, and I think that I have to give credit to the SOC instructors that we're doing a good job of staying ahead of it and getting our equipment fielded so we can be better at doing it.
Hey, the next time they send a bunch of you Irish kids up there to do Swiftwater, I'm going to buy some stock and sunblock. So let me know when the sun's out. I need to know this, Pat. Hook me up, man.
That's a real deal, man.
That's right.
Where are they sending you guys? Where are you guys going to school at? Swiftwater School. Where's that at?
So they're doing a lot of train the trainers. I'm not one of the SOC instructors, but I obviously work with them every day. So
Okay.
I'm not going to plug companies that aren't National Rescue Consultants. So, but they're using another guy. You know what I mean?
Attaboy.
Maybe you guys could throw your hat in the ring. But
you ever seen Herbie swim, dude?
What's that?
I got 2 guys here that have no business being in the water right now. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
True story.
They've been traveling around to a lot of schools, but internally we do train the trainer. So only the stock instructor guys. And
My partner is one of
guys
the-
are doing that stuff.
My partner is one of the lead Swiftwater guys. One of my partners on the rescue is I don't know if you know him, Pat. Mike Griff. Mike Griffith. He's one of the lead instructors. He works with the UASI guys. He's one of the trainers for us. Any Swiftwater rescue, he's up there for him. So the UASI's been a great asset for us around here. We get some good federal funding and get some good training for guys. It's something that's been implemented in the past few years to bite off what Pat was saying here. But we're lucky enough to have some trainers, and UASI kind of takes care of it in themselves. We don't always have to reach out to you awesome guys out there at the companies, but it's nice when we get to, because we get to see you bastards. So.
Yeah. Amen.
That's
Hey,
awesome.
prior to,
about Swiftwater. Go ahead.
Well,
Patty.
probably on that. Prior to us getting like properly trained on Swiftwater and ice rescue and all these various things, we did in the academy. They just give you the suit. Everybody has to jump and swim and do some basic shit. That's what we did for years. You know what I mean? And it worked, but obviously we could be a lot better, right? So we've been working on that. I don't like to tell stories because it's too good to pass up. If anybody can learn from my fuck up, then let it be known. You know what I mean? I hope somebody does. We did an ice rescue training during the day shift, and at nighttime we actually had a rescue in the harbor. It wasn't ice, but it was very, very cold water. All the hypothermia, all the stuff in the PowerPoint was 100% true. I recognized from the guy's screamings that he had, probably like a couple minutes left to hold on. A civilian had thrown him a rope. But nice. I actually have a video of the incident I'm talking about, but I can't show it to you.
Hero.
But, earlier during the training, I had grabbed a carabiner that was left on the ground, and it was a non-locking carabiner, right? Yep. So just to get accountability of it, I threw it on my PFD, my flotation device, my life jacket, and there it stayed, and I forgot about it. Well, later that night, we end up in the harbor, and this guy, he's wearing a backpack, barely clean on it. He's like, he's been in the water a long time, and he's very, very cold. He was about to start going under. Jump in, me and my partner, and start effective rescue. No big deal. Put a life ring around him and kept him afloat. And the state police boat got there faster than our marine unit, so they were coming in. Well, here's what happened though. They start lifting him onto the front of the boat, and that fucking open carabiner clipped into this guy's belt. And they're lifting him up, and they pull me with them, and they can't get him onto the fucking boat. Everybody's like, what the fuck's going on? And I know exactly what's going on, man. That fucked up. So I'm yelling to the state police officer in other parts of the country. I'm yelling to the trooper. I'm like, hey, undo his fucking belt. Undo his belt. He's like, what? I'm like, take his fucking belt off. I'm caught on him. So he takes this fucking guy's belt off, right? Dude, as soon as he does, this guy's pants come down with it. And I start falling with the pants. This dude is wearing a purple woman's thong.
Get the fuck out of here!
Yes!
My face is in this guy's ass, dude, with the purple thong right there. There's a fucking video and everything. Everybody's up there clapping on the dock on fucking
How come we don't have those pictures?
There's got to be a picture.
I'll say to you, anybody out there, water rescue, having an open carabiner on the outside of your gear is a bad idea. It's a snack hazard. I don't recommend it.
Or purple thong. Either or, as both
if
are
only
bad.
we got to select our victims.
Hey, so wait, were you, Pat? Were you saying ice rescue? I know nothing of this. What are you talking about here? What is an ice rescue?
Yeah, it's stuff in the wintertime. It's real cold and all that.
It's where water gets hard.
Water gets hot.
So you're talking like 60 degrees.
Yeah,
what's
70.
Yeah,
yeah. 65,
okay.
Yeah.
Hey, just make sure.
I got nothing. You guys know anything about this, Rob? Herbie?
Negative. Not at all, brother. Hey, water is a great equalizer.
In the Sunshine State, you guys don't get snow or flurries.
My ice cubes don't even solidify down here.
We gotta get fucking $40. We gotta get $40 mugs to keep our water cold. That's crazy. Hey, true story though.
Dude.
Exactly. No, none of that happens here. Zero. Hey, the Swiftwater class is no joke. It's the reason I asked you, Pat and Jay, because man, honestly, we've been doing USAR for a long time. All of us, some level of tech rescue, and that's got to be the hardest, most physically demanding class I've ever taken. And I got to get that out there in case anyone's watching that went to school with me. They know that I'm not fucking faking the funk over here. That class kicked my ass. It was a 10-day, 7-day, whatever it was, North Carolina ass kicker. And the water was 50 degrees. And every day I felt like I was dying for 10 hours a day. We watched a bunch of terrifying videos and then did a bunch of terrifying shit immediately afterwards. And there is no swimming. There's just surviving. You breathe when Mother Nature wants you to breathe. All right, there's zero swimming. All right, you got 4 or 5 pieces of rope with you. You got to be rope wise because you're rope poor. And you got to figure shit out. and you're at the mercy of that river all day long. And I got to tell you, at the end of the 10 days or 7 days, whatever it was, I don't remember. It was about 3 or 4 years ago.
5.
We ended up ended up. It felt like a month. It felt like a fucking month. I was there for a month, Greg. All right, every day I was dying. It was an ass kicker of a class, and the guys and girls that do it every single day in parts of the country where they actually get swiftwater events frequently, they're true badasses because the water is the great equalizer. So I got to give you guys props.
Well, the instructor too up there, like I said, not to plug companies, but everybody knows Mr. Rogers.
He's a stud.
Yeah,
Tim
up
Rogers,
there.
a stud.
Yeah, this guy. I don't want to give his age, but he's over 60 years old. I mean, he looks 29 if he's listening. He's a handsome devil, but he gets in the water and you're swimming for your life, and this guy makes like 2 kicks and 1 stroke, and he's in an eddy. And you're like, oh my God. And then his wife is there, and she's the sweetest person on the planet. Johnny.
Johnny.
So
he's the best.
She's sitting there, and she's taking pictures, and she's cheering you on, and she's like the sweetest lady. You get off, and you just had like a near-death experience, and she's like, oh my God, you did so great. And you're like, well, I got to go again. Like, I'm going to go till I die. She's going to save me, I think. But this old man is not going to beat me, dude.
Dude, you know what I love about Tim? That on land, you know what I love about Chief Rogers? He's a retired fire chief now from the, I believe, Charlotte area in North Carolina. He's about 140 years old on land, but you could put him in water and he's fucking Michael Phelps. It's ridiculous.
Hey, just for the record, there's no relation there, seeing his name's Rogers, but they adopted me when I was there.
Yeah.
I think that's the only reason I got through the class, to be honest with you.
I love them both and respect them greatly. Great people, man. And they put on a great program. They trained all the youth teams in our area have been trained by them.
And they're adjunct instructors too. You know, not to go on and on about it, but their adjuncts are money. I mean, these guys are legit, calm. They're like mermen.
We love them.
Hey, so hey, Pat and Jason, I got another question. Keep it the USAR theme. What have you guys have found that maybe is a little different or the same tactically, because you both are on the search and extraction team on the military side? Is there some things that you guys do that are totally different, or some things that are the same?
Yeah, I'll bite Jay because I know you're gonna have a lot more to say than I am.
Well,
I'm gonna bite on this one. So,
and
go ahead.
It comes to the reason why the three of us, myself, Greg, and Rob, we all met and the reason why we met you guys were from doing the military training, and we would come in as the SMEs in the military world.
Yeah.
And we're meeting you guys, but there's some things that the military does that's totally different in the USAR world, but you guys are training that way and doing things that way. Can you guys elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah. So our specific mission. So the SURF-P and the search and extraction element is symbiotically related under SURF-P or CBRN Task Force. The only thing that makes a difference of that is if you're under a larger umbrella. So our state hosts a Homeland Response Force. So that comes with like your command element and all this other shit. So when it comes to tech rescue stuff, SURF-P, CBRN Task Force, same thing. There's search and extraction, decon, and medical. All right. The mission is honestly different than where you become from a fire department side or way you're looking at it. You know what I mean? It's limited tech rescue in a CBRN environment, and that goes up to anything level C. There you go. So we were trained to do tech rescue in level C PPE. All right, and then there's various hazards we can respond to. And kind of something that me and Jay were talking about that we want to get out there to any of the fire guys listening tonight is that every single state in this country has a SURF-P team. So one thing we've been very fortunate about doing on our side is training with all the various county and regional tech rescue teams on the fire side. But I'm going to let Jay talk about the Army, how SURF-P is different when it comes to USAR capabilities, because it's something he's passionate about.
Well, unfortunately, the military side, and Pat, if I get off too far off topic, by all means, smack me in the head somehow here virtually. We've always been behind the times. It takes a long time for the Army to catch. They say there's a right way of doing things, a wrong way of doing things, and the Army way of doing things. The Army sure as hell has figured out a way to do the USAR stuff. They're slowly catching up. The fortunate thing is the military has recognized that the civilian entities have been doing it better and longer for a long time. And they definitely listen to the FEMA teams and all that. And usually when we have our working groups, we always have FEMA representation there. Someone like Pat and I are there to help with the working groups to try to guide it in the right direction. We have a lot of great guys on the team, so I'm not trying to shit on the military. We're taking, again, steps to move forward here. We're behind the times. And one of those reasons is the 27 teams we have across the country. We all have to have the same equipment in case we fall in on each other. In the FEMA teams, there's the FEMA cache. It's the same idea. It just takes a lot longer for us to change our cache list than it does you guys because it's the military. It takes about 5 years to turn a goddamn ship in the United States military because it's the government, and let's just not get political on that one. But our gear is a lot older than most of the USAR teams. Like we used to have MPDs because we were able to buy them with a credit card. We need this. Let's just go buy it. But now some colonel decided we don't need that anymore, so we had to get rid of them. And we went back to the rigging racks and the figure eights.
Yeah,
the MPD is just a fantastic tool.
RPMs,
So, yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. So they're all good things to know. You need to know those building blocks, and it's great to get there. Like, know the basics because you have to know, when this fails, what else do you have? Like you said that same thing, rope wise, because you're rope poor. Yeah, exactly. Same idea. If you don't have the MPD, what can you do? So the military, we do things a lot differently, but the main reason we do it is because differently is we trained, as Pat said, a level C. We're supposed to operate in suits and masks. That's the only reason we show up, because if the SCBAs don't allow you to get to a certain area, because you run out of air, we have the PAPRs, the purified, the powered air purifying respirator, where we can operate for hours and hours and hours and hours on the mask. So we're guided more so by that of responding to a hazmat environment where we can operate for a long, long time, as opposed to non-hazmat. Even though first responders definitely respond to hazardous environments, we all know that. We have the hazmat teams and all that, but it's a longer period that we train. We train to the standard of a nuclear blast, just for that reason. If it ever happened. So we're guided more by the hazmat side of it. So we get turned off topic as opposed to just there was a building collapse, there was a plane into a building, whatever it might be. We always have to have that hazmat response, and it changes the way that we gear up or that we respond. So that's the biggest difference, I guess. And unfortunately, with all the new trends that happen, and like people like you guys that are on top of it, you guys are the ones that are researching everything and staying on top of it and help guiding to the newer and better way to do things. We're hopefully getting, in the military side, shit that's 5 years old, this mentality. If it wasn't for people like Pat, or we have this great guy, Captain, who's Chief Hopkins and Captain Vance. These guys are really good. We've had a lot of great changes recently that have moved the military in a really good direction, like the hybrid systems that we're actually trying to present to Congress. It wasn't this COVID thing. We're trying to do a hybrid PAPR SCBA pack that we've been trying out. Pat, remember these systems that have been coming through here to be able to respond to that. So that guides us on how we have to respond, is the big hazmat response.
Right. I'd like to plug a knowledge gap for anybody who's listening on as far as the mission of CERT-P and the history too. like I said, I had the luxury of really just a blessing of being in the right time, right place. When the whole concept was briefed to the first team members, I was one of the guinea pigs, and and it's grown since there. But ultimately, what it is, they recognize that after 9/11, looking at other potential hazards, dirty bomb scenarios, one of the big ones, chemical attacks, all these things that can happen when combined with bombs and bringing down structural collapse. Are we prepared for that? You know what I mean? That was the big question. And in the levels that we were, because there's some preparation, right? We had some availability. What they recognized was between civil assets and federal response, which is 72 hours for the feds to come in with FEMA teams and all that. There was no middleman. So they tasked the National Guard with creating this team that was capable of going to up to level C threats, including radiation, and do something that they can not only go down and affect rescue, but also treat the victims. So we have a 3-tiered response just in our element, which is search and extraction. These are the guys who get to be honest with you, they get a lot of good information and training in tech rescue, but we don't have the time or money to train to standard. So you're looking at a lot of operational that people can look at and supplement their resources. You know what I mean? Yeah. But we can go in and conduct missions. We're better if we team up with other assets.
Absolutely.
Then you got decon element and then medical element. So we can go into a disaster area, bring people out, put them through decon in a large scale, and get them medical treatment. And got a plug. The medical portion is strictly through the Air Force, which makes us a joint task force, which is good for funding and really good because the Air Force medics are a lot better.
Oh yeah, we have the medics are fantastic. They're very well trained, and they're all the way from medics up to surgeons. So they have a full medical staff. It's actually a really good response. They thought it through, and those Air Force the medical section is really good, a really good asset.
Awesome. That's cool. Working with you guys was fun, but here's the reality. Being in the U.S. Navy and you guys are talking Army and Air Force, I'm ready to vomit.
Navy?
So,
what's the Navy?
So we're gonna switch this over a little bit, my friends. And I love you guys. You're like the only 2 Army guys I really like, to be honest with you.
I would like to, you know.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing, deal. But so I want to get back. I got a couple things I want to get back to. So outside of I'm going to read right here because I wrote this. This is a long one. I can't remember. I'm getting old, so I had to write this down. But outside all the fluff on the internet, everything going on, with all these little cliches and fluff operations. I need you guys to define task and purpose in an assignment given to you guys. Do you guys have rescue companies? Are you guys laid out? Or when you get there, you're assigned your job, and when you do it, are you following the book? Are you doing it the proper way? Or are you just making shit happen and getting the job done? And when you figure it out, are you figuring it out and reporting back, or are you doing your little checklist type deal? And tell me how that's a little bit different from being in the fire service on pretty busy rescue companies versus being in the military that we just talked about.
So
are you good?
No, I think I had the same question. So you're talking fire or military? So you're asking both, basically, right?
I'm talking fire, babe. We're getting out of that Army.
Yeah. No, I know. I can
Navy wins the wars. The Army comes in and cleans it up. Let's get back into the fire shit.
Normally,
babe,
I really bust your balls, but I just.
I love you, Patty. I love you. But
one website. I just read an incredible article on warontherocks.com, and it did talk about the importance of the Navy and Air Force if we go to the next major scale war. So I won't get into that here. But
we're not going to get into that. That's another time, my friend.
The good news is, according to that article, Homeland response stuff is very secure. So
thank God.
Task and purpose, man. So here's the thing. As far as we roll, I'm only going to talk about my group. I've worked on a couple different groups on the rescue. And essentially, we all kind of mirror each other. We have task and purpose goes a couple different ways. So we know what we're going to do based on what position you're riding that day and who's working. And that's the big thing too, right? Do we have our full crew? Do we have a detail guy? Do we have a guy from another shift who is a rescue guy, or a guy from within the house? So they're at least tech rescue support guys. They're just like us, man. They know everything. That's going to affect everything you do. But we got some general concepts that are pre-outlined. You know what I mean? We know what we're doing. We get no fire. We know who's going to the fire floor, who's going to the floor above, how we're going to search out from there. When it comes to a tech rescue incident, we really rely on people's individual strengths and trying to complement each other. So I think fire is pretty straightforward and easy because we're really good at that, and the chiefs know what's up, and they're going to direct us if need be. But when it comes to tech rescue, we're kind of writing the book as we go, I would say. Based on everything that we already know and run with, it's kind of how we roll.
This is a 12-part question. I was just wondering.
I felt
that. So where you sit on your company that day is your function? Is that how it works? Or does the boss assign you to your strengths?
So on the rescue, we actually just have Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta Echo. We're never blessed to have that kind of staffing. Our minimum is 1 and 3, which is highly debatable because it's supposed to be 1 and 4, but now it's 1 and 3. And that brings us into a different thing. The NIOSH report from the 2014 Beacon Street Fire recommended our rescues be 1 and 4. They actually said we're out of standard by not doing that. So we rolled that way a long time until budgetary issues got involved. So now we're back to 1 and 3. So anyhow, without getting too much into that, the only one who has very specific assignments is the driver. Beyond that, in the morning, we kind of determine how we want to roll, who's going to go with who. But you got as was referenced before, you got your 2 teams. You got your fire floor and you're going above team.
Now, is your driver, is he assigned or is he senior man for the shift? How's that work?
Yeah, man. So that's interesting, right? So
hold on. Read that right there. Don't talk smack. That's where this comes in, man.
This goes way up and way back, so I'm okay with this one. The only time this was touched on is after the Kevin Kelly stuff, but we don't have our training is all same. We get a lot of driver training. Everybody's a chauffeur. We rotate. Mm-hmm. We don't have assigned drivers. We've gone through that conversation a lot. But basically, we all rotate and we all do everything.
Okay,
so that's
cool.
Our role, and that's department wide, not just the rescue.
All right, yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Yep,
What's
thanks.
Jay? Same for you. I don't know if you heard it or not, but the same goes for you as far as where you sit on the rescue. Is that your position for the day, and how does that work? How do they assign you where you're at for that day?
The whole department, actually, it's not even specific for the rescue, unfortunately, but we all rotate. Everyone's a trained firefighter, no matter where you are. The whole concept of our department is you can ride anything at any given time, and it's kind of one of the setbacks for specialty. We have to jump off the rescue for a quick, but as an example, is one of our stations is designated the hazmat response. And originally, everyone in that station had to be a hazmat tech. And it's kind of gotten away from that. It's a great idea, but there was no follow through. And I think that's a really good idea. If you're going to have specialty, and to jump back on the rescue for this, specialty trucks should have specialty trained people. And you should be riding that piece that's supposed to be responding to these incidents that you have to know what the hell's going on, be it a hazmat tech response or a tech rescue. And anyone can ride any piece in our city. If we're not in, they'll grab anyone for an overtime or a ship out and throw them in my spot. And it's something that we're hoping to fix moving forward, but you have to collective bargaining, overtime. We have a strong union, which is very good, but unfortunately sometimes it holds us back here. But to jump back to the piece of the question here, where we all take a turn wherever, I drive this week, you drive next week, someone else drives next. We don't have specific drivers. We all take turns. Everybody on our truck, we all take a bite out of everything. it's your turn to do this, it's your turn to do that, it's your turn to do that. And for that reason, we all try to, again, that's where my company is very good, and all 4 of our groups is we all make sure we're as trained as we can be. We all have our strengths and our weaknesses, but we all try to make sure we're good to go on everything. So wherever we're sitting that day, I know I can do the job. I mean, maybe not as good as you today, but I'm going to be able to get it done. So.
Well, you feel that's pretty good, like consistency wise. Both of you. I mean, it works out, right?
For the most part, yeah. I don't like it when someone jumps on my truck that's not typically there because they don't know it. Just because it's as you guys know, if you tech rescue stuff, what's that strut do? What does that rope bag do? How do you make what's the mechanical advantage?
Right.
And why are you on the truck? You shouldn't
exactly.
be there.
I have no problem with the rotating positions. I've done a lot, particularly like I said, I keep referencing the Kevin Kelly incident because it's very significant for our department. Obviously, we looked at a lot of shit after that happened. I mean, what if I'm not going to speak to that incident, but what if the driver that day could have, if he was more knowledgeable about maybe.
I remember that was a big deal for your department. That was like a can of worms.
Yeah.
Huge deal, man. Huge deal.
I don't want to get into that because I know that's political with you guys. I get it. But that was a can of worms. That I feel that opened eyes. And unfortunately, you're not the only department like that, man. There's many other departments that unfortunately need to have that happen so they can go, man, our mechanics are a little off, a little weak. You know what I mean? They're like
even just the policies, not necessarily the mechanics themselves.
Exactly. They can fix
it, right?
Yeah, they can fix a bike chain, but they have no business working on a friggin' apparatus.
This is the thing. Everybody's kitchen table is what's wrong, but very few people step up and start making strides to make it better, right? So
no, I agree.
I didn't mean to go too far down the road, but I was going to say the reason I have so much exposure to how other departments do chauffeurs and designated engineers and all that shit is because we looked at that very heavily in that post period of time after that incident, and I will say that I think that it's a great strength that as far as drivers, I'll go back and forth on the whole thing. You want to pay the driver a stipend, and that's all he does. And listen, that guy's better fucking know his roots. He's going to be incredible, right? But that said, we're all good at it because we all do it. We all got pressured into the shit, and we bust each other's balls. So I think that that's a 50-50 on me. Both good. Yeah.
It sounds like it could definitely work, but we have specific drivers. But I like that too because when something's wrong, there's only 3 guys that are accountable for why it's wrong on all 3 shifts.
Accountability-wise, it makes it very easy.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like I see that.
Well, so this is another thing I want to touch on too when it comes to manning and whatnot. Again, going back to a couple episodes, your FTNY rescue guy he was talking about. You got a guy. He had a guy going in there and making sure the engine company's doing their job. Well, again, without shit talking, but like just something we put in place when we had the extra guy, the chauffeur of the rescue, would go make sure the roof's getting taken care of because we're getting in there. We want to make sure ventilation's occurring and the fire's being attacked. You know what I mean? So we always send a guy up the roof. And bottom line, sometimes certain parts of the city, certain groups, who's working. You might want to make sure the roof's getting done properly. Depends on where you are. Other parts of the city, you're all set. You don't have to do that. And when you show up, you know that that's not something you have to do. Then you're up with another guy. So it's pretty awesome. But
no, I agree. I agree with that. It's Dan Barron has actually showed me a lot of stuff too. But I just need you guys to play nice, man. Don't start talking smack about the Yankees. You know what I mean? It's like we're not ready for that. My phone is already starting to vibrate a little bit, dude. Easy over there. This isn't the Yanks and their socks in the series, man. Calm down. All right, Rob, you're up.
I'm gonna switch lanes a little bit. I'm gonna go. You did mention it, Pat. So I'm gonna talk about the Beacon Street fire. And so back in 2014, we do know the story. It got nationwide coverage. A lot of the guys in the fire service learned from it. I believe it's our obligation as fire service members to learn from things that go wrong, to learn from things that work out. Something works out great, cool. let's all learn from it. Let's change our ways. Let's find a better way to do it. If something doesn't work out, what can we do better to prevent it? We owe it to the members that were lost that day. We know you guys lost 2 members from 33 engine. We understand it was a daytime fire on Beacon, well-involved basement fire. Different reports talk about it being wind-driven. It talks about the fire burning through the hose line. It talks about losing a back window and the guys getting caught in the flow path. It talks about water loss. There's a lot of different reports when you start reading up on the Beacon fire. What was your involvement that day? And what do you know about it? What were the lessons learned? And what has changed since 2000 and then till now? Where do you guys see you're at, Patty?
So a heavy subject and heavy in a lot of ways. Not only is this a fire where we lost a couple of firefighters, but not only, I mean, these 2 guys were fucking balls on, well-respected men. You know what I'm saying? And a heavy hitting company in a tough part of the city. And there's a lot that goes with that. So it's a heavy subject. That said, my particular involvement is pretty interesting and limited. But I was actually, right before I told you when I was going to the rescue, I was actually deployed to Afghanistan. This was 2 weeks prior to me leaving, and I was already on vacation. And the only reason I was there is because I was heading to a friggin' dentist appointment to get my teeth cleaned before I left for Afghanistan. And I saw the Union. I lived right near the Union Hall at that time, and the Union president's car went by the lights and sirens. I'm like, well, whatever the fuck that is, it ain't good. So I followed him, and I in the meantime, I turned on the scanner and got some information, and I heard what a lot of people throughout the fires have listened to that radio traffic. Pretty much when I turned on the radio, I heard what I knew would probably be their final transmission. And you know that because you know what you listen to. You're hearing the vibe alert. I know those 2 fucking dudes, so when I heard the tone in their voice, I knew what I was hearing, and it was a very unsettling and very surreal kind of experience. So, bottom line, I followed the Union president's car in there, and when I got there, what I saw was this. It was fucking wild because there was bunker gear all over the street and bandages and remnants of EMS equipment, like in different piles, all throughout the front of the fire building. Like I'm like not even shitting. It was like it seemed like it was 17 little different areas. You know what I mean? Different bunker jackets laying around. I forget the final numbers now, but I was just like, what the fuck, dude? What's happening? I mean, the building was very clearly there was several of them. They were explosions. They were like blowing, the fire going on. So it took a minute, but one of the first things that really, really struck me heavily, and I know, I'm going to be very candid here, but also hold back a lot. But there was a pump operator who was supplying water to the line, and I had heard the transmission fire alarm they were calling for the water, in the basement. And fire alarm was really hammering the pump operator who was not answering the radio, but he wasn't answering the radio because ain't no fucking time for that. He was troubleshooting everything that could go. Why are they not, like, everything looked right. So he was a classmate of mine, and I went right over there, and I ended up, first thing, Pat, get the fuck up. Look at the panel. Like, look what I'm seeing. Like, tell me what's wrong. Because dude, everything looks completely right. Like, they've got something else is going on. I don't know. At the time, you just don't know. Man. We didn't know what was going on. The water was being delivered. Going to the pump panel. Follow the line in, the water was being delivered. I mean, as you stated, the hose did burn through, and that's ultimately one of the big things that happened. Moving forward from my involvement that day and talking with all the various guys who've been on scene that I know, and and the rescue companies had a huge. I wasn't on the rescue yet, and that was a pretty significant deal for them. And a lot of guys, they really made a extremely, not just the rescues, but definitely I'm well versed in the rescue story, and they made a very extreme push and try to get in that basement. And the conditions were literally not possible. Following that fire, the amount of guys that were in the hospital with tremendous burns is like the most, it's just an unreal scene, man. So many guys tried to push to get them, and it was just not possible. It was not possible. And that's a hard thing for guys of caliber that I work with to accept. You know what I mean? And one thing at that moment, but it's also difficult down the road to accept that, and that continues to this day. I'm quite certain. Um, so basically, my involvement was actually pretty unique, where I got to kind of be not a civilian, but like a privileged viewer, and I kind of got a lot of viewpoints. I eventually made my way to the rear of the building and saw the conditions, and it just was a catastrophically unique fire in my experience. That just was a bad day.
Patty, so from what I understand, there was no injuries until those guys went down, and it was roughly like 15 or 20, and then it go like 7, 8, or 9 alarms, something along that lines.
Yeah, that's correct. So it did end up being a 9-alarm fire ultimately.
Wow.
And the thing is, on that it was the rapidness of how it happened. That's how crazy it was. So that
Right.
Now I don't want to misquote. I wasn't fully prepared for this conversation. I have the NIOSH report
That's
in front of me.
Right.
But bottom line, I believe it was like in 3, 4, 5 minutes of them making entry, where they had like a smoke condition throughout the building, no visible fire, and they made a push in the basement and encountered heavy fire, and that's where it kind of things. The Mayday came in very early. I don't believe it was even the second alarm when the Mayday came in.
True.
I could be wrong on that.
No, you're spot on, because I had to write something about something, so I picked this fire because the reason I did is I walked in front of Beacon Street the day before that fire and flew out that night. And then when I got home, I heard it. I'm like, oh, that's got to be something in the past. And I looked at it and I'm like, holy shit, dude. No connection whatsoever. But so anyways, in one of the classes, I wrote something about it. And it was like, I want to say it was 6 minutes. And I want to say like everything was done correctly. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those, like, this is what can happen even though everything is done right.
No,
Type
Greg,
deal, you know what I mean?
100%.
And I don't, like I said, I don't have a NIOSH report. I'm shooting from the hip here, to be honest with you. If I'm wrong, that's cool. I'll be corrected. I'll take it for whatever. But I want to say it was less than 10 minutes. I thought it was 7 or 8. You said 9 alarms. There was roughly 15 or 20 guys that were injured after the push once the Mayday was called. And then the 2 guys that went in, 33 engine, right? Wasn't it 33 engine?
Yeah.
33 and ladder 15. Dude.
Absolute
Was it
studs.
7 alarms? Now I feel like an asshole. But forget that. That's kind of stuff that's neither here nor there, really, because ultimately it was only that big to bring in extra help for the cleanup. I mean, when the stuff was going on, everything you're talking about, we've gone over it as a department as far as what would you do differently, and what we've done is introduce flow path training to a much higher level than we've looked at before. Now, to set the scene, that particular building we were talking about, Beacon Street, so these are brownstone brick buildings, and behind it is the Charles River. So you're coming off of Beacon Street, which is pretty wide open till the next brownstone across the street. Windy day, and you get the river effect going on to the rear of the building. So just perfect storm kind of scenario, you know. But what we've done is gone over flow path a lot, and whether or not any of this would have mitigated it, who could say, right? But
Right.
I think that the key thing is, you're right, man, everything was done pretty well. And I want to say one other thing too, fire alarm, which is our dispatch, they did an incredible job also, man. They tried to stay cool, calm, collected, and stay on the line and check in with the guys. And unfortunately, one of the heaviest memories of my fire career is when they didn't answer after that, you know. And I knew it; everybody knew it was coming. But when I went to check back in, they just weren't answering, and it was pretty heavy scenario.
That's absolutely right. So just one of the classes that we do, some of our survival stuff and risk stuff, it matches the data, and the data is the same every single time. You know, the first 10 minutes in the fire is the most dangerous time for our members. Our incident commanders don't have a full grasp of where everybody's operating. They don't have a full grasp of where the fire is, but they don't have a full grasp of what the extent of the fire is, the spread, where it's going, where the people are trapped, where our members are operating. Accountability is not fully set up yet, and shit's happening way too fast. Our members get too far, too deep, too fast. And what the general public doesn't understand, and even the members listening, I know we have a lot of guys and girls listening across the country, is that even when we do everything right, shit can still happen and shit can still go wrong, you know? And that's just part of the business. And we're all okay with that. I'm okay with that. Pat's okay with that. Jason's okay with that. Herb's okay with that. Greg is okay with that. We understand that. Those guys that day showed up. I've listened to the transmissions over and over and over again. He gave a great size up of the building. He said he was going to work. He opted to take command and go into a fast attack mode, get in there and put water in the fire. And at some point, they lost that backside of the building. And guys think, and we teach a lot, and we're very fortunate to do something that we love, and you guys as well. And you'll talk to people, over beers, and they'll be like, "Oh man, wind-driven fires are crazy. I'm glad it's not windy here. We don't work in Chicago or whatever." Dude, you need a 5-mile-an-hour wind. A 5-mile-an-hour wind will change the dynamics and the behavior of fire tremendously, and it will turn an everyday room and contents fire in October into a fucking blowtorch. If you come in one door and you lose another door or window on the opposite end, and now you're caught between in and out. And there's no way we're gonna crawl fast enough. There's no way we're gonna find refuge fast enough. There's no way you're gonna apply water fast enough. It's gonna exceed the freaking temperature of your bunker and turnout gear, and it's gonna burn through your hose. So sitting back and pointing fingers is not something we're ever gonna do. Those members did everything they knew that was right. You talked about it in the beginning. They're hard chargers and freaking go get them aggressive jakes, and they did their job. And even when they did everything right, it went wrong. But the rest of us should learn from that, and be more aware of our surroundings, and understand building construction, and understand the effects of flow path, and understand that this is a possibility that we live with. And to them, I raise a toast.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We lost that day. Absolutely. 100%.
We had one of those old guys that used to be a pain in the ass. He was always just, one of the guys that brought up stupid shit. But every tour, he'd go, "Hey, so the wind's coming out of this direction, and this miles per hour." And when you're a young kid, huh? Oh yeah,
that fucking guy.
That guy. What the hell is he always saying this stupid shit for? And then you don't realize until something significant like that of the importance of it. You always hear the older guys talk, "Oh, the wind's coming this way, the wind's going that way. It's going to affect the fishing and the sailing tomorrow." But there was other reasons why they were saying it, and it's pretty funny. You don't realize it until afterwards why they were talking about it.
So I hope it's resonating. But that is the change that we've made. So again, when we go back, nobody in our department thinks that anything went wrong, or really like was done.
Nope.
Would anybody have done anything differently given the scenario? No, honestly, no. But what we try to advance, like you said, try to make everything better. Really going over flow path, because look, man, especially truck companies, what do, man? We smash, right? That's what we do. Let's fucking break shit. It's awesome, But breaking it in the right sequence and in the right area kind of goes a long way. So really trying to put a focus on that, and hope that it's resonating. It's one good thing. But I would like to say one other thing on the hose burning through. So, because you can't talk about this without talking about the good that comes, right? So, Mike's dad, mother, Kathy Crosby Bell. Anyway, bottom line is the foundations that have come from this fire have put a lot of funding into a couple different things. One was a study into hoses burning through and what materials might prevent that in the future, and things along those lines. So those studies are ongoing, and I don't really know where they lie, but I do know that that's a very good thing that came out of those foundations. And the other thing is they sponsored on our cancer initiative, getting washing machines and ejectors and dryers specifically for bunker gear into the firehouses. So there's a couple of incredible things. I'm sure there's a whole lot more, but those positive things to highlight in the wake of the tragedy that families have done with the proceeds from their memorial funds.
And that's amazing. That's an amazing tribute to their family and trying to maintain that legacy. I love when I hear those stories. Every single one of us here has had a conversation at a bar or at a firehouse or met a member in your region or ours, where you hear a story about a line of duty death and everything those guys did right went wrong despite doing everything right. I sit back and the whole time we're talking, for some reason I keep getting Joey D from the Black Sunday fire in FDNY in my mind. The whole time we're talking. We met him a couple of times. He taught with us down at the Fort Lauderdale Fire Expo and Fire Conference, and this was a well-respected member on a rescue company in FDNY with a good amount of fire experience. And on Black Sunday in 2005, he says the same thing. They did everything right, and everything still went wrong. Where there was a building construction, the frozen hydrants, the water supply, the fire conditions on the fire floor. He told me firsthand, and may he rest in peace, but he's no longer with us. He passed away in 12 or 11. And he talked about it at a bar with us, and he's like, man, that fire floor condition was no different than any other fire floor I've been on before. We were searching about the fire. We hadn't lost any windows. It was hazy. It was maybe 100 degrees.
Oh, how do you do that? Look at him. How do you do that?
Look, at least he's beautiful.
That's amazing.
Look at him, man.
He's not even moving right now. He's deep. He's deep.
Deep in thought.
No, so what he's saying too, though, is to add to that. I completely agree that the makeshift. I'm sure you guys have seen this and read about this too. As far as the makeshift wall, they couldn't get to the fire escape. You know what I mean? To add to that, and that's a big deal, man. As far as everything that happened.
Yeah.
But I mean, you guys. Like I said, I stepped out for a second, but I'm back. But that's a big learning experience for any department, man. And for you guys to stay on top of it like that, hats off to your department for doing that.
Again,
because a lot of times it's like, hey, we want to forget that because there's mistakes.
No.
I feel that those mistakes should be amplified. Things that went wrong, not even mistakes to where somebody did something wrong.
Yeah. What do we do better?
Exactly. How do we fix that? Exactly.
If you're listening right now, then you have a invested interest in doing your job well, and not only that, but hopefully staying alive and retiring well, into your healthy years. So
and we're professionals.
Hey, so Jake Blackburn put a question out, and Greg and I were fortunate enough to meet this guy, young in the fire service, younger in the fire service, full of piss and vinegar.
Cute as shit.
Yeah, cute as shit.
With a name like that, Jake Blackburn, what the fuck?
I mean, dude, badass name too.
Hey, so we actually met him in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and the guy is when you look at the younger generation coming up, you want every single person that comes in the fire service to be like this guy.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying it because he's listening to the podcast. Me and Greg talked about it. We wish every new guy that came through was like this guy. He has I want to say less than 8 years on the job. Just got promoted to engineer. Awesome fucking dude. So he shot me a text on the side and wants to know because he rides a rescue company in Arkansas. So he wants to know how you guys operate on a working fire on the rescue company. What are the typical functions that you guys are doing on a working fire?
Yeah, in this realistically, Pat, and like you said, we're not saying it because he's listening. Jake could walk in with a few hours and he could probably ride any rescue company that I know around. I mean, especially after meeting you, Pat. I mean, geez, dude. Anybody can ride one, dude.
By the way, I'm looking for a swap next week, Jake, if you're around.
So, but that's true. And Herbie and I figured it out that we actually like his. I think is it his wife or his girlfriend?
No, it's his wife now.
Okay, so we actually like his wife better than we like Jake.
We like them both.
That's not the point. We like her way better. But anyways, let's answer the guy's question, dude, so he'll stop bothering us.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Jake. It's it's pretty straightforward. So Well, all right, it's not actually, because everything in Boston is fucking complicated, right? So we got rid of work and fire a long time ago. Within my career, really just I don't know. I don't know what the thought process behind it. Maybe to pad the stats. But now if you so when we strike a box, that's a notification of an alarm of fire. So when you do that, we got 3 engine companies, 2 ladder companies, 1 rescue, district chief, and potentially deputy chief, depending on where it is. It's a high rise. So that said, if there's a fire, our next step is a second alarm. But we used to have the work on fire. I miss it. It is what it is. I think it's about the numbers. So the rescue, if we get there early enough, we're going to go right in, and that's the best case scenario. If the chief's not there yet, or he's not fully assessed and posted at the front of the building and kind of stopping us because he has an idea what he wants us to do, then we're going right to work, and we're going in search mode. I mean, you're going fire floor above, and we're going to work like that. And then Jay, awesome.
That's awesome.
So right in the search mode, though, that's what we do. Search. That's the big thing, right? And then secondary task, but it's going to come later in the fight. Judy, how do you deal with that, man?
Are you at the firehouse?
No. Yeah, exactly, right?
No.
Just coming out of the shower. Tell us about the job, kid.
Jobs.
Oh, God.
That's the bottom line. But what happens a lot of times on the rescue in Boston, because so the city's split in 2 divisions. There's rescue 1 and 2, and we go to every box in half the city. So a lot of the times, most of the time, probably, you get there and the chief's already in position in front of the building, and he'll kind of tell you what he has in mind. But it's pretty much usually search, or sometimes it could be funky if it's a high rise. They might have a particular scenario going on. Maybe there's a floor giving trouble. You got water or smoke in a particular area. They want you to commandeer an elevator and go check on a particular section or head to the roof. I mean, once the chief's there, he's going to give you the sign in case of move. But if we're fortunate enough to be in our first response area and get there quick with the other companies in our house, then we should always get on the ride. Hey, those are the best times if we can hit our first response area, go right in search mode. But
hey, so do you guys to add to Jake's question? I kind of talking to this guy. I know. I mean, he's chomping at the bit. I know it. So you guys operate as depending when you arrive as a truck company, as a RIT team, as a rescue. Like, how do you operate? And then do you like I know when Dan Barron talks on the New York rescue companies, their seat will be their position, like, hey, your search, your roof, the chauffeur always goes to the nozzle.
OVM.
Yeah, OVM. You guys operate the same way or no?
So similar, and the interesting thing is it can very, very much vary depending on group. Ultimately, it's very similar. Those roles are getting assigned, but rather than it being where you're sitting, we just literally fucking hash it out at the kitchen table in the morning.
Perfect.
This is what you're going to do. Stick with him, go there, and we kind of roll like that. So the only thing that gets funky is if you get to do that. If everybody's telling a good story and you get down to the truck, it's like, oh shit, en route to the fire, we might be figuring it out. But
so why do you always say the fucked up thing and then you switch it and go, well, the weird thing? Come on, just stick with it, man. What about you, Jay? You guys operate the same way or what?
Similarly, typically box assignments are the same. 3 engines, 2 ladders, and the rescue. How we've been operating for a long time is, first do ladder, you need to get in there and do some ventilation and all that stuff. So it depends on where the city it is, as opposed to how quickly we can get there. Our first job has always been to search, do a search, get in there, start looking for any potential victims. Do secondary searches, whatever we can do. Help out with ventilation where you can. One of the big things that we've changed, and the chief is pushing since it's been back full time, and I think it's a good idea, is the rescue companies were initially brought around to rescue us if something happens to us. So we've been the main RIT push now is you guys are RIT. It's always been the third engine. Just stand by, start doing it. It's always been something that's been pushed off as all right, RIT, we just kind of hang out. It really wasn't what it should be. And it's up to the deputy's discretion or the incident commander's discretion as of now. It depends on the scenario. I need someone to do a search right now. I'm not having the rescue who's here stand by and just wait in case something happens. That's not going to happen.
Patty says, "Hell no, that ain't how the shit goes down."
What? I know. But we typically are doing our main searches and helping out wherever we can. But the fact that RIT is so important. And again, I keep jumping back on that podcast you guys did before. Yeah. Rob, you were hitting on it on the numbers of the survivability rate of if someone goes down, as opposed to even a RIT situation. And unfortunately, in one of the cities, I'm not going to call anybody out, but I think you guys know who we're talking about. There's a city who's lost two Jakes in the past 2 years in our state. And I'm not shitting on anything they did. I'm just saying, I'm using that as an example of how important RIT is. If we can do something a little bit better to get there faster or get someone out faster, it's an important role. And I don't mind taking a step back. We're the main focus of RIT. We don't just sit back. That's not our full intent, but it should be the rescue's main focus of if someone goes down. I know you were going to disagree, but
I was trying to point to Greg. Wait, dude, I got something. I know Greg's shoving a bit too.
We need to make sure we're there. So it's been a big push, but I take it as a positive because if we're getting tasked with it, I mentioned kind of before, we have a good crew in our city for our rescue company. We train a lot. We want to know our shit. We're making sure that RIT is actually getting passed throughout the entire department. So we take that as a positive. We're not taking it as our lone response. It's our responsibility to make sure that every company, every firefighter knows RIT. We might not be able to do it because it's a 3 to 4 company rotation response to get RIT. And we've been pushing the whole thing that everyone needs to know that job. So you can take something that could be a negative and turn it into a positive. And that's something that we as a department, and especially as a company for our rescue, has been doing. But typically, jumping back onto the question at hand is, we've always been an initial search and then helping out wherever we can at the fire. It's how we've always done it. It's how we kind of do it. What's needed to be done? We've got a full box assignment. Do we need to go to a second alarm? If we do, we do. Alarms multiply because of, heat conditions. Your guys need more rest, whatever it is. We grab every company in the department and we utilize them because we're all firefighters. We should all know how to do each other's job. I push on the RIT thing because I think it's so important. I just think it's so important.
Pat,
get him, Pat.
Ready.
Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute. Hold on. You're killing your theory. You're on mute here.
That's what I wasn't getting.
Jay, put him on mute.
Nice.
I actually have the mute button here for him. I knew what he was going to do.
Yeah. Thank God.
Fuck that guy. Hey, fuck that guy. Here, both.
Dude, I'm dying. No.
All right, start over. It's probably started good, but we didn't hear it. So
actually, the best part of the argument was then, so whatever I said, I'm sure it was brilliant. But, Jay, simple counterpoint for your deputy or counter argument. The only reason the rescue is any good is because they're constantly going balls deep into the fire. So they're only going to be the best advanced RIT if they have that experience. If they're sitting outside waiting to be a fucking RIT team, that's as you hit the nail on the head.
That's
I know you're not. I know how you feel. I'm just saying.
So if I said that wrong, I apologize.
No. I know how you feel. To those who argue this, because this is a thing, and I really don't know why. But for some reason, this is an actual discussion that occurs. Rescue being a RIT company is bizarre. Rescue being a response to a mate, so that's what we do in Boston. If the other division has a mayday, the rescue rolls right away. So does we, and then we actually throw a whole tech rescue at it. You know what I mean? All the
Should.
support companies. Of course.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Throw everything at it.
But listen, RIT is every company's responsibility. If you guys aren't, if you're on a fire company and you're not heavily invested and interested in RIT, what the fuck are you doing here, man?
Yep.
Seriously.
So,
Yep.
so I couldn't agree more because Rob does he does a killer survival class, and I've been working and picking Herbie's brain, compiling tons of information, just sitting down, screaming at each other, basically choking each other to the point where it's bullshit. That we've come up with a shit ton of data. You have the guys that do the RIT team. They do the articles. They do the look at me, bring the air pack. We got this 79-pound air pack, RIT pack that we're gonna bring into this shit that nobody can carry. So we've taken this complete program and we've hacked it down to nothing, and then said, sending 31 guys in at one time for a RIT team is a joke. Stagger them 3 at a time.
Yep.
Like we have a program that's going to work. So I think with Rob's survival program, which I think survival, the way the guys are going to survival, the way your company searches, wherever you are in the country, the way they search is vital to the RIT team of how they're going to function. Is it daytime? Is it nighttime? 2-story, commercial, high-rise, etc. So I think this is key on what we're doing, and we're putting something together which hopefully, but I really think it's going to happen, is it's going to change the face of all this nonsense the way it's going on. And it's simple. Absolutely simple. I couldn't agree with you more, Pat, to where the rescue companies, the squad companies, even the truck companies are beasts, man. Those guys go deep. They always go deep in there. So they need to be showing the engine company, the medic units, the whoever your surrounding agency is, they need to be showing them how to do RIT, that type deal. And the rescue companies need to be speaking the same language as the ladder company. So when they do have to do RIT, you're backing me up, I'm backing you up, that type deal. And that's where we're going with our program. So we have something, so this is a plug, obviously, but so something we have going in January, it's the first group that's going to be in there is going to be money. They're going to see it. It's going to be awesome. And then I think, hopefully, it's going to just take off from there. And it's everything that we're talking about, everything that we see as companies, ladder, truck, engine, every unit, doesn't matter. I completely agree. That's all I'm saying.
So let me just add to that. Let me add to that, Greg. And I'm just gonna, again, shameless plug, and I'm gonna talk about just the numbers real quick because we're all pretty ate up with the job, and we all care about what we do, obviously. From 2015 to 2019, so there's different agencies, whether it's NIOSH or OSHA or Project Mayday with Dan Abbott out of Indiana. They collect and sole source data from coast to coast, border to border, agencies, volunteer, paid, professional, doesn't matter, metropolitan departments, road departments. They compiled about 6,000 give or take Maydays that happened between 15 and 19. And the common denominators and the numbers were the same every single time. You have about 35% of a chance to survive a Mayday situation if you self-rescue. Your next best chance is about 24% by a neighboring company, meaning you entered right and the truck went left, or the rescue went right and you went left. You call the Mayday and the rescue of the truck come from left to right and rescue you and get you out of the structure. That resolves the Mayday about 24% of the time. These are numbers. Data doesn't care about your feelings. Facts don't care about feelings. I don't care about how long your department's been around. I don't care about what the senior members say. Facts don't care about feelings. And we do a really shitty job as an organization and as a fire department, as an industry, when it comes to survivability and taking care of our own. 6% of the time, 6% of the time, Maydays are resolved with a RIT or RIT team. So even when you have a high-speed, proactive RIT team that's properly staffed, that shows up on scene, they're getting after it, they're softening the building, they're conducting their own 360, they're monitoring transmissions to command, they're ready to mask up immediately upon the transmission of the Mayday. They're going in there and you have a plan, a system, and an algorithm in place to get your air emergency entanglement or loss and disoriented sequence emergency mitigated, every single time you get 6%. If they're not that high speed, you're getting less than that. But 88% of the time, that's a huge number. 88% of the time, your maydays are being resolved by members from inside the building. So what does that tell me? The more people we get into a building and occupy that space and switch spaces with Joe Plumber and Joe Citizen, the safer it is for us. The more truck companies, engine companies, and rescue companies I get in a building, the safer I am when I call my mayday. Because if I'm sitting around waiting for a RIT company to come get me, a RIC company to come get me, or someone else to come get me, I'm looking at about 6% chance for survival. Cancel Christmas. I'm not going home in the morning. Whatever plans I had next day are canceled. It's a wrap. All right? But those are things that we need to be realistic about. And guys and girls are very, 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 very unrealistic when it comes to their level of preparation for responding to a mayday or a RIT situation. So I do a lot of focusing on the numbers, and I do data-driven training when it comes to survivability and RIT and RIC. And we're doing a disservice to our own members when we don't actually focus on the numbers and on the data that we have available to us to provide these trainings. That's just my piece.
So Rob, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I can only imagine what drove you to get this deep into the numbers and go with this. And I don't know, I'll try to figure out how to phrase my question here, but does it drive you fucking absolutely angry when you get just half-ass motherfuckers on the job that don't care? And you know 100%. That they're going to be out there. And depends on who's working that particular day, particular area, how things are going to go down.
100%, bro. We have a joke. RIT, Rapid Intervention Team, stands for Rectal Insertion of Thumb. That's what the joke is.
The old RIT, I completely agree. The new RIT, dude, that you're gonna eat that thumb when you're done with it. I promise.
I feel you, Greg. I feel you. But historically, those members that show up and stand in the front yard, or stand in the front of the building, or stand in the floor below, or 2 floors below the fire, the floor below the fire, whatever your policies are for your agency, they're sitting there expecting to do nothing, and they're just upset they didn't get it after. They were able to get after it, and they're not looking at it like they have the most important job on the fire ground, which is taking care of our own members. You know what I mean? And that's the way you have to look at it.
Well, so Rob, I know you and I and Greg, we've talked about it before. How many times have guys, you go to a job, hey, you're assigned RIT, and the guys are like, oh, what the fuck, RIT? Really, dude? Every
sense of urgency drops.
Everybody literally, they're like, really? Hey, Chief, you can't put me somewhere else?
Coats open.
Coats open. Not staging gear. Not doing a 360.
No ladders.
Guilty. First half of my career, guilty.
And the guys sit there and look at it as like, oh damn, really? You put me at RIT? That's what I'm doing right now. The guys do not understand the importance of RIT. And me and Greg have had this conversation numerous times. Rob, you and I have talked about it. The importance of RIT. And guys do not understand how important RIT is. That is our final lifeline for us. There is no other lifeline. If shit really gets bad, RIT, that's for us. And I don't want the fucking slackers of the department coming to save me. I want the hard chargers, and Greg has beat it in my head from the day I got hired with the department. There is so much you can do at RIT, and if you're not doing it, then you're doing a disservice to everybody that's in that building.
Yeah. That was kind of a point I made before, and I didn't mean to say that it's the only job of the rescue company to do that, so I didn't mean to say that before.
Not at all.
The hard charges, the guys that want to know all the rescue stuff should be not necessarily in charge, but a big part of the rescue, especially when you have the tools on the truck, which is what a rescue is. So it's not our only job, but we should definitely be a big part. If I'm doing helping throwing ladders, I should quit what I'm doing as a rescue company and be a giant part of that 3 to 4 company rotation 5, 6 company rotation to get that down brother or sister out. So
Well,
just
100%.
put on what you hear.
So Jay, to bring it to South Florida, so you kind of understand.
Please.
In South Florida, you might have an engine company, you might have a squad company, you might have a truck company, a quint, an ambulance, because down here you're dual certified.
Yep.
So depending on how you arrive on scene, depending on your department, that's how you get assigned. Depending what department you work for.
Yep.
So you might have an engine company be your RIT team. You might have an ambulance, as what you guys call them up north, be your RIT team.
No.
And so now those guys are your RIT guys.
Yep.
So the mindset down here has always been, well, fuck, why did you put me as RIT? I want to go get dirty. Not realizing there's so much more to do in RIT. Like Greg said, Greg hit it on the head.
Yep.
Throwing ladders, doing your 360.
Yep.
There's
Finding
so
the
much more.
issues.
Absolutely, there's so much more you could be doing.
Yeah.
And guys do not dive deep into it because it's a mentality of, well, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Oh, no big deal.
Every single event is a training opportunity, right? So
All right.
if you're the RIT on hey, maybe it's a very basic fire, there's not much danger going on. I'm a huge proponent of that's when things can go the worst. But that being said, even if you have to cater, if you're trying to hook guys into training, you have to cater to everybody, right? The lowest common guy. So
Always.
dude, any opportunity. So hey, here we are. We could bitch about it, but we could fucking make something out of it. Because you're not back at the station. You're not kicking your feet up. You're not eating ice cream, playing video games, taking a nap, whatever the fuck you do. You're out. You're on the field, and you're observing the fire ground, right? So, at the very fucking least, you guys hit on that a couple times. Man, if somebody shows up to that building without the proper RIC gear, I hope the fucking chief lays into them. You know what I mean? But that being said, it happens, man. You got certain crews, certain companies, certain areas. It happens even, I'm sure it happens in every single department.
Yeah.
So it's a training opportunity. It's on that officer, that senior man, or maybe you get that officer kind of swinging through and that senior man and that, hey, what could we be doing better? Get that 360. Let's spitball scenarios. All right. So what do we see? We see smoke coming out of, heavy in the rear, light in the front. We know a couple companies are working on this. You should be always updating that RIP picture like command is updating that fire center. You know what I mean? If you're just sitting there and not doing that, then you're not doing the job.
Well, so the big thing too is when you're the RIT team, and the way we push it, the way I perceive it. I'm not saying it's right or wrong or whatever, but just think of this: that you're not taking jobs from your OV. You're not taking jobs from your truck company. They still have their function. What they do. They chase the engine. They find out. The RIT team is skinning the building. I need to find an entry. I need to find an exit that if I have to go in on the Bravo side or the number 2 side or the Charlie side, the number 3 side, that I have a way in, way out. We have major hurricane shutters down here. HUD boards, plexiglass, freaking carpet, garbage bags. It doesn't matter. They put everything over their windows. So exposing, peeling the layers back so they can ventilate, so they can see what's going in, what's going on. That's key. And then when you break it in, officer runs the front of the building. He gets the size up from the bat chief or incident command. He gets who's inside. Write that shit on your arm. I don't give a shit if you put it on your bunker gear. Write it on your arm. The other 2 crews, they go around, they size the side. One side off the building, open that rear door, get that place open on one side, one opening on either side, and then we start opening up more and we start doing laps. That's how you're going to be effective in RIT. It's not a secret. I'm not telling you anything that's a secret. This is shit that everyone does. They just don't know how to formulate it. Make your RIT team do it. Without a doubt.
100%. I couldn't agree with you more. And actually, Pat hit the nail on the head when he talked about, get the training and get the reps in. Every single rep matters. All reps matter. You know, why not go through the steps? We're already there. We're already turned out. We're already on the run card. We made the box. You guys call it the box. We call it the card. All right, we made the card. You guys made the box. You're on scene. You got an assignment. Fulfill that assignment to 150%. Get the reps and do the 360. Check the communications. Walk the structure. Talk about the construction. Go over scenarios with your members. Hey, we have to go through that window, boys. We have to take that bar. We have to take that. In our world, we have to take that impact glass, that hurricane glass, that abandoned building HUD board. You know, stuff that we work with, and then whatever you operate in your world. There it is, Herb. I have a quick question, just to transition real quick. The old story about maintaining the standard and meeting expectations, and it talks about a bunch of high school baseball coaches, and I played baseball myself at a high school baseball coach conference, and this one coach stands up and he talks about the 17-inch plate, and you guys have probably heard it or not, but it talks about a 17-inch plate, and it talks about pitchers in Little League. You can't be a pitcher if you can't throw a ball over a 17-inch plate. The home plate never changes from T-ball to the major leagues, whether it's T-ball, Little League, high school, college, or the big, right? And so you got all these baseball players in Little League. If you can't hit a strike over 17 inches, you're out. Then you get to high school. You can't hit a strike over 17 inches, you're out. Then you move on to college. You get a scholarship. The second you stop hitting that 17-inch plate, you're out, because that's the expectation and the standard. Then you make it to the bigs. And now you're in the show, and you're playing for the Red Sox. And you're in Beantown. I love them too. If you can't hit a 17-inch plate, you're out. You can't pitch for the Sox. But here we are in the fire service. It's not a sport. It's not a club. It's not a membership. We're dealing with human lives. And we're dealing with our own lives and our brothers and sisters and the people that we're sworn to protect. And we have brothers and sisters around in every organization in every city USA that cannot hit the 17-inch plate. And no one gives a fuck. How do you guys, in your world, set the expectations, create the standard, and maintain that 17-inch plate, whether it's as a company officer or from the back step or the back seat?
Rob, I think I love you, man, because I was sitting here this whole conversation thinking the exact same thing, because here we are. Look at these faces on here and all these people making comments. These are guys who give a fuck about the job. I mean, we're not the problem. You know what I mean? So, like, every piece of advice we give on how to perform a RIT operation is just like it's perfecting our 360 security. Everybody's making it one step better.
Or 720.
Yeah, that's an amateur. But the real problem is
I got you.
All right, fuck off. But how do you engage the guys that don't give a fuck? I think is what we're getting at, right?
Yep.
Right.
RIT might be a very good place to do that because, dude, could be you, bro. Like, fuck me, fuck the job, but it could be you. You know what I mean? So if they're just that guy who's only out for themselves, I don't know. I don't think I have the advice on that, but I think that might be a topic to discuss, because that's something that RIT, dude, if it doesn't touch on to everybody, I don't know.
Hey, let's face it too, man. The Chiefs in your cities, they lean on the rescues. They lean on the rescues to kind of help them out, get out of their shit. Our department, they lean. I ride a squad. I'm a squad captain. They lean on the squad and they lean on the truck companies in our department. There's a reason why. They don't lean on them because, they're easy to get to. They lean on them because they know the guys on the trucks are supposed to be, not all, for the most part, are supposed to be badasses, are supposed to be ate up with the job, supposed to get into the mix and take care of what they're supposed to do, and trust them. That's half the battle, is trusting them. Now, if you can trust somebody that's going to be like, hey, you're a RIT team, they're going to stand out front, they're going to have their thumb in their ass, they're going to be leaning on the truck, texting their chicks or whatever. I get it. That's bullshit. But if they say, hey, you're a RIT team, and they start seeing ladders go down both sides of the buildings, they stage their equipment, they start pumping in, they start going around taking bars and shit off the window, assisting the OV, the outside truck company, whatever, that's the guy they want to lean on. That's what it's about.
Chief kind of.
That's my soapbox.
Chief kind of hit on that same point. It was his reason for making us the RIT. you guys are the elite. You're on that truck for the reason. You guys are the ones that give a shit. You do the classes on your own. You learn this shit. You're the ones we send around to teach other people. I want you guys to be the team for that exact reason. It's typically the group of Pat and all of us, the people who give a shit, everyone who's watching this, everyone who's here. You guys give a shit. You've learned the extra steps. You take the time to go through the rip bag and make sure that strobe light or that flashlight is charged up. Is the rope still usable? Is the ladder working? Are the tools still in there? All these little things. Everyone's like, oh, there's the bag. We're good to go. No, you're not the guy that I want. Of course, I want anyone to come get me, and we all know that. Anyone who's been trained as a firefighter for the most part. But the guys that give a shit are usually the ones on the harder trucks, and they should be a part of the rescue. So I just wanted to jump on what you guys were saying.
Kind of weird to see you got going on in that house, Jay.
Right?
What's going on back there?
Mate, I got a lot of people floating around here.
Yeah, what do you got, a halfway house there, bro? What are you running? What's going on back there?
I make them give me all their alcohol so they don't have any more.
Hey, cheers to that.
I'll drink to me too.
Hey,
I'll drink to that one.
Hey, I think you had 2 home invasions and somebody trying to come up behind you and knife you. I'm not sure what's going on back there, bro.
Easily.
Is that what that was? I got knifed.
Dude, we've been on for 2 hours and 40 minutes.
You never know what's going to happen here, you know?
Hey, I don't know if you know the girl back there, but if she's single, Rob's single.
She's not anymore.
Oh,
Hey,
okay.
Pat, you might know her brother. Her brother's a Boston firefighter. We'll talk later.
Yeah. No.
Pat's like, whoa. We got 28,000 people watching this.
Hey,
All right,
so go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, so
What do we got here? We got Danny Erickson from Hartford.
hey, so we just had a question pop up. It said, not a rescue question, but to Pat. If first due truck to a fire is a straight stick, does the chauffeur and the roofman make the way to the roof, or would the roofman go with his crew, and then the chauffeur set up solo and go to the roof with a second due truck members? Or what do you guys do in Boston?
That's a 9-part question, Pat. Pay attention.
Hey,
Well, it's funny 'cause it's actually very.
Hey,
to me,
can
it's very-
Daniel make those questions a little bit shorter, please?
hey,
In my head,
Dude.
But you know
I'm
what?
saying it right.
Yeah, if these guys are
Hey.
from Boston, bro, like they gotta be way shorter.
Hey, real quick before you answer though, this is my guy, Danny Erickson. He's a Hartford, Connecticut 5 truck. He's a chauffeur, good guy. I hang out with him a lot. He's a good dude.
I was gonna say Hartford. That's like
Hartford.
I don't even know much about Connecticut, but it's like you either go to Boston or New York,
That's
but
the
you
New
never
York
actually leave
side.
Connecticut.
That's
So
the
go ahead and break his balls. Hey, break his balls all day right now.
I'm just saying, it's
Hey.
a great thing.
Listen,
It's,
Because
we go to
that-
that for the casinos, you know what I mean?
I-
But now we got encore.
Hey, I
Call
think-
it New
I
York
think-
Massachusetts because it's kind of split.
I think Hartford is the little brother of Boston and New York because Hartford does work, man. There's no doubt.
That's a good- that's a
Well,
good pick, yeah.
hey, before it was canceled, I watched Live PD and Hartford was fucking lit, dude. Hey, man,
Dude, we
so
gotta get to Boston.
I can answer that shit because, and here's the thing: I know why his question is long-winded because it's sort of a trickle-down effect on the East Coast. We have this exactly everything he put in that question. We do both of those things, right? So it depends on who the officer is, where the truck is, and all that. If staffing were better, then we'd 100% do the 2-guy thing. But what we try to do these days, and again, this can vary company to company, so it's not a one answer throughout the department. A lot of officers want your chauffeur to be the roof guy. So chauffeur set up the stick on their own, unless it's a very particularly fucked up throw, then you can hold somebody back. But they want to go in to do VES or whatever it is. They want to get search operations going on and be aggressive. So the chauffeur should be able to handle that entire truck, position the stick, get to the roof, and start venting on their own. So I 100% know he's getting that. But in days of old, and it was like a strange transition for us, and it still is confusing. Depends on who your officer is. We got a roof guy and the chauffeur. So the chauffeur is setting up the stick, and you got the roof guy whose job is to go up the roof. And some guys, some chiefs even, back in the day, and maybe still to this day, would want the chauffeur to stay on the turntable. That would do. They wanted a guy on the turntable at all times. And let's be honest, that's look, however you want to think about it, right? But to me, it's a waste of a guy. I don't think you need a guy
Absolutely.
on the turntable 24/7 in all operations. So your boy is absolutely on par with his multifaceted question, because that's how fucked up we are around here, man. I don't have a straight answer, dude. We do both.
How about you,
Yeah.
Jay?
They always say, once that stick is thrown, you need to sit there. It's not true. If you throw a stick and people know it's there, yeah, you shouldn't move it. But it's so easy to make a communication on the radio. That turntable guy, that DJ can the DJ can cut the turntable. If you guys didn't get that reference.
Wrong turntable, dude.
Anyway,
Greg's our Canadian. That jokes for days.
I'm here for you all night. I'm here all night.
He can do what he needs to do. That old school mentality of my stick is there, it has to stay there, and I can't move. Let's just throw the thing that's not common in this world is common sense, and we could use a little bit more of it, especially in an industry that is changing scene by scene as opposed to year by year. It would be really nice if guys could wake that. I mean, certain things, yeah, everything's so situationally dictated. Pat, it's so hard to answer that question honestly. I agree with you wholeheartedly, man.
Jay, so I love you, bro, but I'm gonna one up you right now.
Do it.
We used to have Herbie. You can back this up. We used to have all steer ladder trucks, 100, 105 foot buckets, 100-foot stick, money truck, did absolute work. But the problem was we had, let's say, higher ups. Pat, you got to help me out with that little post-it note at the top. Don't talk shit about your uppers. We had a bunch of higher ups that would say, I need 2 people on that apparatus. We were running 3-man truck companies. You're like, so why are they going again then? I don't understand. You got a guy standing at the pump panel, which is it's a joke. And then you had a guy standing at the turntable. They'd run the stick to the roof. So what are you going to do? Send the new guy fireman to the top, or just the officer by themselves? It's a fucking joke, man.
Yep.
Put the stick to the roof. When you throw a ladder for secondary means of egress, you don't put a company at the foot of every ladder. You throw the ladder. If you bail out in that ladder, if that place is ripping and it gets you, and you bail out of that ladder, and that ladder slows you down, and you roll an ankle on the bottom, you did well.
Yep.
Period. If you have a stick to the roof, and it's a couple rungs over, and you go slinging around some, whipping around the ladder, and you slide down the ladder, or you get a rescue off the roof because it come out of the, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It doesn't matter what the scenario is, and there's no one at the bottom of the ladder. Does it matter?
Nope.
Like, I would rather have that driver sizing the bottom of the building. If you need to keep someone with there to pull tools to start sending them up halfway or dumping them on the roof, okay, I'll give you one guy at the turntable. I'll buy that 100%. But if you're telling me 2 guys and 1 guy at the pump panel, why is the truck company even pumping?
Well, that's so Captain. That's forward thinking, right? That's how you do. There's scenarios.
Dude, if you call me Captain again, dude, when I come to Boston, me and you are gonna get liquored up on Jameson.
Yes,
I
Craig.
was just reading my notes.
After we get off, we got to talk about our trip to Boston. I'm going to Boston immediately. I need to
Read this right here. Don't call Greg Captain, and don't talk shit about him.
There's a possibility that my wife is still watching.
Where the country's at,
so we can't talk about.
And she is an angel, by the way. I just want to say.
Hi, Mrs. Hayden.
Dude, let's let's talk about what a strong woman she is. Oh,
Oh my
my,
God.
deal with this guy? Oh
Fair
my.
enough, dude. That's
All right,
it.
never mind.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
no, go ahead, Pat.
No, I think we beat it to death. But the whole thing is like, I think the reason he had that question is because in our department we have an old tradition of keeping a guy on the turntable, and like we already said, dude, we can progress beyond that. There's a time and a place for it. Like you said, if you need equipment, but that's the officer's call, and it's the officer's call to change that as we push forward and evolve as a fire service. You don't necessarily need that. If the situation dictates, go for it. And then you can always change it down the line. But I do want to say this. I have seen sticks moved and guys bail out, or not bail out, but come out of scenarios and they couldn't get off the roof where they came up. So that is a consideration.
Yep.
Something to think about.
Well,
Again,
but
So-
you hit that nail on the head, though. The situation dictates.
Exactly.
100%.
Yes.
And
So,
you hit
go
it.
ahead, Herb.
No, and to Pat's point, he hit it perfect. The situation dictates, and
So,
that brings
go ahead.
everything
Come on.
back.
Finish up, dude. I got something to say here.
He's dying to get it out, Greg.
I'm sorry, Herb. I love you, bro. I'm sorry. No, so here's the issue. First of all, a couple things. How many departments work with their sticks in close proximity? 1 or 2 windows apart. Not a lot of people do. I'm talking big cities. Those are the only people that I know for the fact that do that. Second of all, if you put your guys on the roof and their task is to drop down to the top floor and do a search, I'm okay with my driver dropping it down to a window and letting them know, hey, we're Charlie side 3rd window, Charlie side 5th window, Charlie side corner, whatever. I don't care. That's tactics. That's how it works. That's each unit running their shit how it's supposed to be. Throwing a ladder to the roof on a single-story residential because you can check the box is a joke. 100% joke. That's a roof ladder, truck company, and maybe a couple engine companies, and we're done unless it starts ripping.
So I got 2 things on that, Greg, and one is, like you said, communicate on the radio, right? But I don't know why, but in Boston, rescue companies, we talk on the radio. Everybody else, it's literally the officers to the chief, and that's about it. There needs to be more confidence on that. People are like afraid to use the fucking radio, and to some degree, that's good because if every fucking asshole was on the radio, we'd have a serious chaotic nightmare. But if you've got something that really needs to be said, like moving a stick,
You'd be like South Florida if every asshole was on the radio.
Moving a stick
100%. 1,000%.
So you guys have a lot of radio communication going on?
Oh my
Dude,
God!
what?
Pat,
Hey, Pat, listen.
You gotta minimize that, Jim.
Hey, listen. Motherfuckers believe they can talk a fire out more than they can go put water on the fire.
Bro,
We
I
got
have
one guy in my department that won't shut the fuck up, and it's so bad. I love him to death. I love him to death, but he just won't shut up. Ugh.
Hey, somebody cut off Jason. Hey, somebody. Hey, cut off Jason. Jay, you're good.
somebody mute Jay, dude. This is going back.
Someone send one of Pat's post-its over to Jason.
Yes, Pat, you keep reading the post-its. Screenshot them over to Jay, dude.
He's like, I got this one guy in my fucking department.
He's beautiful. He's a great guy, but something it's too much. The point was too much communication. You need to leave the lines open. However, something as specific as you just said, we're moving the ladder, is something you need. The other thing is people listening. There's so much when so much shit goes over the radio, people stop listening. They'll turn it down, and that's the importance of keeping the chatter down to important messages, things people need to know. And
I couldn't agree more. The
reason for me saying shit. It's the point of what is being said over the radio should be what we all need to know, and we need to know it now, and how it's going to affect how we do our jobs and how the next
Yes.
job, or the next part of
Yes.
the job is done. So that was my point.
Yes. Nice
Gotta
job,
make it
Jeff.
chill.
Nice job.
So. Okay, now I'm done.
No, I couldn't agree more. I'm not a huge fan of talking on the radio with nonsense, but I feel, and not like I'm holier than thou or anything else like that. I'm definitely not saying that, but I feel that when I speak on the radio, people listen because I don't talk on the radio a lot. And when I have something to say, I want it recorded through my dispatch, or B, it's pertinent for the call that I'm on, and I think that's pretty accurate for the most part. But we have guys, same thing, same exact thing. Friend of mine, I've told him numerous times, dude, can you calm the fuck down, dude, and not say shit on the radio? And he still thinks he needs to baffle the world with info, and no one listens to him.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
His name's Rob Ramirez. His name's Rob
That
Ramirez.
guy. Hey, fuck that guy. Hey, listen. You're either gonna baffle him with your freaking nonsense or dazzle him with your bullshit. That's it,
Absolutely.
babe.
True that.
Absolutely.
You could just stay quiet and do your job, though, Rob. I guess that's the thing.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That's also a thing, Patty. Hey, listen, I'm going with it. He's
Hey,
fine.
we're going to Boston for St. Patty's Day. We're hooking up, dude. Forget
I'm
it.
going.
Fucking
I'm going.
So,
1000%.
It'll be a COVID St. Patty's.
no,
Oh, yeah.
Fuck COVID.
Hey, so I think we might actually be coming up there pretty soon. If it,
I didn't want to say her, but since you
Yeah.
did,
well,
Send it,
so
brother. Let's go.
if everything works out well, we'll be up there probably around April.
I'm ready.
Doing some training.
Calendar here.
You got a calendar here.
So if everything works out right, we'll
April?
let you guys know, and we'll be up there around April.
listen, here's the deal.
Big
Bruins, Red Sox, Dropkick Murphys, lots of Jameson.
So it would actually be myself, Greg, Rob, and Timmy Gleason.
Another
yeah.
Irish boy. He probably
That guy's
won't
so
ever
depressing, I
leave.
think I could drink with him.
Oh,
Oh,
dude.
fuck that.
You don't
He's
want
a
to drink
fucking
with him.
degenerate.
He'll be dating. Your wife will be pissed, dude.
I was just
Hey,
kidding.
you might get a divorce.
Hey,
amazing.
hey, listen. So I want to segue. It was supposed to happen organically, but Pat knows I'm going to punch him in the gut real quick.
Jesus,
And,
right here, right now. Huh?
Yeah, right now. And
Yeah, fuck.
I talked about. I asked you a few times, Pat, about this because I know it's important to you, dude. I've never met your family, but I love your family like my own for the most part because of you. So I want to bring something up because it's deep, and I know it is. And Jay, you know what I'm about ready to talk about because I think it's brotherhood to no end, my friend. And it's brotherhood that just me hearing the story, I feel proud to hear the story and knowing you. So I don't know how to segue into it. I'm going to let you tell the story, but about how you and your wife met for the most part and how you got together and how you guys married each other. I still don't know why she did it, but that's a whole nother podcast, my friend.
I sure should hope she went to bed because actually we're not married. We're spiritually married. So she is my wife, and that's
You know what I'm saying, dude. I meant spiritually married.
know.
She's
No,
a smart
I got
woman.
you. I got
She's
you.
a smart woman for not marrying you. But
Those options open.
listen, I don't want to put you on the
All right.
spot, bro. You know I love you, bro. You know I'd do anything for you. And
Yeah.
the only reason I bring this up is this. I get goosebumps when I hear this story. I think about it all the time when I hear shit, and I think everyone needs to hear it because of the fire department and the military community of how tight we actually are. And it's huge. It's huge to me. And just hearing the story, not even being a part of it, just hearing it and knowing you is key. So I want to let you tell it. And believe me, I know it's hard, but I'm going to shut up and I'm going to let you say it and just go with it, my friend.
Yeah, but you gave me the heads up last night. Thank God. Otherwise, I
No problem.
wouldn't really know where to go. But things you said last night and things you're saying now. That means a lot, and I agree. You know, that is a whole thing, and takes a long time through this journey to realize how really beautiful and significant the whole thing is. But so it's tough to know where to start exactly. But I went through a very tremendous loss. I lost my girlfriend in a car accident, and we were to be married, and you know, that was a really tough time. And I think that in this forum, what I'd like to touch on is guys in my firehouse were there for me when that happened, man. You know, it was a difficult scenario, and they were all at the funeral. And when I came out of the services, Huntington Ave, 37 Lab 26, they were all lined up. And
The best.
I literally didn't even, it wasn't like choreographed. They just went down the line and I fucking shook hands and gave a hug to every brother there. And can't say how much that meant to me at that time. You know, and these guys were there for me. And also, by the way, I got the call. We were having a very particularly busy night, and I got the call on the fucking department line at 2 a.m. And it was her brother. And he's like, Pat. And the reason he was surprised is he went through this. He didn't know what company I worked on. He was working through dispatch to find me, and it was a whole thing. Anyways, you know, he gave me the very bad news over the phone. I didn't know what the fuck to do with it. I didn't believe it. It was very crazy. And I woke my officer up. We just came back from his call, but he was tired. And, dude, but from that day forward, everybody was there for me. And, you know, and a term that I like to use is we move forward. You know, nobody moves on. You move forward. You know, and this comes to your last episode there. You want to tie terminology and PTG as opposed to PTSD and all that. You make something good, you move forward. You don't move on. You got to keep that with you, everything that goes on. So anyway, moving down the line, I started doing a lot of work with Mass Fallen Heroes. This is an organization that is entirely bred of Massachusetts area veterans, mostly Boston firefighters and area firefighters, police officers, and vets from the whole area. They got together and like, hey, we're not doing enough for Gold Star families and to build a memorial and do all this shit. So moving forward for the sake of the story, I started work with a motorcycle organization through Mass Fallen Heroes, doing escorts for fallen heroes, and Sergeant Daniel Vasilian, United States Marine Corps, KA in 2013 in Helmand. He's from Abington, Massachusetts. We escorted his body home, and it was fucking cold as shit, dude. It was January. It was the coldest motorcycle ride I ever did. I'll never forget it, but my heart was fucking warm. Did my feet? Couldn't feel my feet. Couldn't feel my hands. But I actually burned my glove, my exhaust, because I was trying to warm my hand up and didn't even know it was on fire. But
Wow.
bringing him home from the airport to his hometown, and it was just we were just one motorcycle, a huge procession. He was talking about shutting down the expressway, not by force, but just people pulled over and fucking got out of their cars and started putting their hands over their hearts and saluting. It was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. So I was part of that escort and had the incredible honor of bringing this gentleman home. So later I find out he's legitimately an incredible Marine. I mean, a Bronze Star Valor recipient, a dude who, a Marine's Marine, man. He was an NCO who led his guys every single day that he was there, and then some. And actually, the day that he was killed in action, he was actually off duty. He was on a day off, and he took that mission so another dude wouldn't have to go out. So this is a hell of a dude. Now, fast forward a couple of years, and I didn't see this coming, so I wasn't planned, and you know, it could be a taboo subject, to be quite honest with you, in the military community.
Yep.
Talking about a widow here, and ultimately, I ended up at an event. What happened is another one of my motorcycle riders was killed in an accident, and man, the guy from Mass Fallen Heroes is like, "Hey, He's like, dude, he's a very good friend of mine. He's like, dude, I know this is kind of weird. He's like, but we need to get the fuck out of here, dude. I need to rescue you. There's a Gold Star family event at a casino going on, and there's like a couple extra seats. Let's just go. We don't talk to anybody. Let's just get out of here. You know what I mean? So that's what we did. Just buried my buddy, whole thing. And that's when I actually met Aaron, was on this retreat deal. And it was like a totally non-planned situation. Wasn't even supposed to be there. And we're going to learn how to play craps. And I was like, dude, I was depressed. I was like trying to like fucking keep my tears back. You know what I mean? Well, so were all the Gold Star families. You know what I mean? They've been all talking about their families and going through all this stuff. And it's like a wicked interesting thing. So, strange small world. We ended up hitting off. And listen, that grew into something. We started talking a little bit. And to be honest with you, we really did fall in love. And it's a really wonderful thing. There's a lot of, like I said, taboo stuff that I was really worried about when this happened, because I'm not shitting you. We fell in love, man. We're very, very, very happy, very in love, and in a wonderful place. And I think, well, one funny part about that, Aaron has 3 tattoos dedicated to Danny, right? I have one dedicated to Caitlin. And my mother, I'll never forget it. Of all the fucking things, shortly after Caitlin's funeral, my mother's like, you tattooed her name on your body. Like, you only put mom on your body. That's the only tattoo you get is mom. I'm like,
That's what my mother said.
She's like, what are you gonna do when you meet a woman and she's gonna know that your heart belongs to somebody else? I'm like, well, they're gonna have to fucking deal with that. And it was an interesting when I came and met a woman who had that going on too. And but beyond that, we had our own thing going on. I tell you, there's a lot of very, very beautiful things that came out of it, and we're also both very spiritual, and we've had a lot of, and not even, to be honest with you, not because we always were, but because these events have put us in places where things have happened to us that you can't really not acknowledge. So I'm not going to go down that road, but I'm going to say
and I don't want to get that personal, but so the military frowns on that a little bit, correct?
So, well, that's what I was concerned about, and I can't say that decisively. There's parts like that, you know what I mean? Here's the thing. I think the difference would be if, like, you're in the same unit and stuff.
Right.
Then certainly. You know what I mean? Then it's going to look like you're moving in and doing that. But
it sounds taboo when you don't know what's going on. But to find out the fact that these two people, and Pat, I hope I'm not speaking out of turn here, but you two comforted each other with shared experiences and became friends. And that's how you became friends. You guys were able to understand each other through the unfortunate situations you guys went through.
So that's exactly where I was going.
You guys, through military, and it ties in with the fire department, and that's how your fire department tied in with the military, which tied in with her, is how this whole beautiful thing happened out of 2 horrible situations. One beautiful thing came together, and you guys were able to comfort each other. Good came out of it. And I know both families or all families involved are still okay with it, because it's not something that was like, there's some wife that died, let me go hit on her. That's the bad part that's frowned upon. Sorry, that didn't happen. It was a friendship that became something beautiful, and that's the whole point. I think what you brought it up for, Greg, is that people can comfort each other, and good things can come out of it, because out of catastrophe comes sometimes good things.
So there's 2 things. There's 2 things about that. So a military, Herbie, where were we at? Utica? I think we were in Utica when I was trapped in that trailer. Whatever. Well, so we were in Utica, I think, and someone told me, and I was like, oh yeah, this guy, Pat Hayden, whatever. We're talking to him. Their units down there, and they're like, hey man, that dude's a stud. Which I knew this guy was probably drinking when he said that, but that's not the point. That's not the point. I was like, he was like, hey man, you know the story? And I'm like, no, man, I heard the guy's a Boston FD, whatever. And he told me the story. And he said that the military, like units or whatever, I don't know what unit was, very vague on the info, but he was like, yeah, so a bunch of the guys
Just
kind of thumbed.
fucking make it up, bro.
I'm gonna make shit up now, dude. 'Cause I
Let's
don't
go to
give a
the
fuck.
story here.
But they were
I
kind
feel
of
like I'm watching Frozen. I'm watching Frozen. Go ahead.
They were
You
kind of
must be a
like,
dad.
hey, they
I am a dad.
they thumbs up the whole thing going on because the people got behind whatever the gold star, like you said, and they were like, this is important, kind of almost like a nonchalant kind of hidden thumbs up to the whole operation that went on. And I'm like, oh, that's cool, and I didn't think anything about it. And then later on, I heard the story again. So I was like, well, this must be a big deal if people are talking about it. You know what I mean? So I kind of heard it again from somebody the third time, and that's when it kind of solidified it. So I wanted to bring it up to you, man, because I think the point is not the tragedy beating you up, getting into your personal life, which I do think your wife has a great sense of humor to even settle with you, which
You're not wrong, dude.
waiting to talk to her for some reason. But what I do believe is the brotherhood factor from the fire department and the military aspect is huge, man. If you keep it that way and you let it play into your hand for the most part, or even play when you're not expecting it, I think it's a huge thing that we need to keep on. That we need to keep up for the most
So-
part. And I know
so
we
the thing on
struggle
that-
with that.
The thing with that is the brotherhood between the Army and the fire department was literally my life. I mean, it's everything. It's my family. I mean, this is how I roll. I'll never forget my roommate at the time was a veteran that I served with in Afghanistan. Still serve with him and all that jazz. And he was like, "Oh, dude," he's like, "Oh man, you gotta be careful here, blah blah." But it's the same thing that happened over and over. Once everybody saw us, he was like, "Dude," he's like, "Fuck, you guys are in love, man. You gotta roll," And just whatever. I could go on, and I'm a little emotional, so I'll kind of mess it up. But
No, that's cool. And
one key takeaway is like Danny's family is my family. I mean, I've been so accepted in that family. It's the most beautiful thing. And then shit gets weirder when it comes to like Danny's grandfather was a boss police officer, served both my parents, and he was actually at the hospital when I was born.
Wow. That's
Fucked up.
no,
never knew
like I
that.
said, bro, I
Crazy.
wasn't. I think that story needs to be told because that's who you are, bro. That's a big part of you.
Beautiful
and
thing, man.
And the fact that I
Yeah.
know that, cheers, man, and cheers to
Hey,
your wife for being so strong dealing with you.
Hey,
That's
Cheers,
really
bro.
what it's about.
it's fucking awesome. It's
Awesome, bro. All right,
Most
so
importantly,
listen.
though, cheers to Sergeant Danny Vasilian, Kill the Nash.
Amen, brother. Amen.
KIA, God bless him, brother. Thank you for his service. Rest easy, bro.
All right, don't end this stuff on a negative note, Herb. Start talking some happy shit.
No, hey, real quick, Herb. Hey, Herb, real quick.
Thanks, Greg.
Before you jump right in, bro.
Who loves you, babe?
That story personifies, and it's funny. Just give you guys and the people listening a quick peek behind the curtains. We've been talking for 3 hours now. It feels like I can talk to these guys all night. I just met these two gentlemen, and I legit feel like I can go over to wherever they're at right now and spend the rest of the night talking shop with them and talking shit and having drinks and raising a pint. These guys are amazing brothers and like-minded individuals.
You
And
will
I'm
be
not even
touched
making this shit up.
inappropriately, though.
And I'm okay with that. I'm perfectly okay with that. But that story, Greg, right today during the day, I was with my son and I was on the phone with Greg for about an hour, about 20, 30 minutes. And Greg told me the story about, prepping us for tonight. And I thought it was such an amazing story. And it personifies everything that's good about the fire service, about the military, about who we are and what we do. Our fellowship and our brotherhood and our intangible freaking bonds mean so much to us. And the fire service is the family that we chose, that Jayson chose, that Pat chose, that I chose, Greg and Herb. And we aim not to disappoint them. And the fact that you went through that process, you served our country, your partner's ex served the country. You guys were able to come together through grief and create the bonds that you have now. And the brothers accepted it and saw it necessary and helped you through it. It just justifies that we're all on the right track. and I'm just happy to be a part of this, and I thank you guys for coming on, man. Amen. God bless, bro.
Nicely said, brother. I appreciate that. Very well.
Nicely said.
Thanks, Pat. Thanks for telling that story, man. I appreciate it. I hope I didn't upset anybody, but I appreciate it.
I just wish I could have told it better, but that was pretty good.
Hey,
You fucking suck, Greg.
We'll get Aaron on to tell it next time.
hey, so we're at like 3 hours 15 minutes. It's
cute.
we
Shut it
literally
down.
sit here and talk for many more hours. Honestly, we want to have both you guys back on.
Part 2.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Literally, I know my phone's been blowing up, so me, Greg, and Rob have been texting back and forth. Our phones have been blowing up with just questions.
Non-stop.
Not mine. I have no friends. No one's texting
No,
me.
no one fucking
Not
likes
one
you.
person.
When you're,
Not one
Hey,
person.
no one likes you.
Hey, your story. All of Greg's friends are right here on this computer.
We're looking at him.
I actually only got one.
Two
One of
out of the 3 are
One of
anyway.
my partners on the rescue was actually like,
And where's
"Holy shit,
Danny?
thing."
Where's FDNY Danny? He's his friend too. Where's he at?
He's not even really my friend. He just likes her.
So it's honestly because guys like Jayson and Pat, man, you guys have literally made this podcast what it is. We thank you more than anything. I was gonna end the conversation on a positive note, talking about clean cab, but I'm gonna hold off because I don't want that excitement right now. But all joking aside, man, from honestly, you guys have been amazing. I can speak on behalf of Greg and Rob. We want to have you guys back and just talk more shop, have drinks, and just bullshit. There's so much more that guys want to know. So let's do it here maybe in 2 weeks or so, and let's get you guys both back on, and let's do it again. But literally, I can't thank you guys enough, man. Thank you guys for your service. Thank you guys for everything you do. It's truly amazing, and we appreciate having you guys on.
Thanks for having us, man. It's always great talking to you guys, and we've learned a lot from you guys, being the SMEs at our events, and just on the side talking shop, and like we're doing now. It's being able to reach out. We kind of hit this point earlier of talking to each other on the side is where we learn the most, because we all do things differently. You can always learn something new from someone new. So thank you for this. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for
Hey
coming, man. I
guys,
appreciate it.
this is the ultimate kitchen table, man. This is the
Absolutely.
widest kitchen table around.
It's
Hey,
the biggest
absolutely.
we got.
Hey, this is we tell guys all the time that, and you guys have been there, and we've all done it. The most learning you guys will ever get, for all the guys that are listening, is after the training venue stops, the tailgate gets dropped down, the cooler gets opened up, and everyone starts drinking some beers.
And then
You will learn more. You're going to learn more there than you will learn during that class.
Absolutely.
Right.
well, yeah,
Amen,
actually, on that note, Jay, what's the low capacity of a single point in a crib stack of a 4x4 time for?
4x4. Well, it's
Yeah.
4,000. It's 4,000 pounds per crib, isn't it?
Maybe
You
in the
owe me,
north.
dude. You owe me a beer.
Maybe in the Northeast, it's normally 6,000 everywhere else.
Motherfucker!
Owe me a beer. No big
East
deal.
of the Mississippi on El Nino season.
Depending
Where'd
on
he
the
go? Where'd he go?
pressure.
Dude, is he wearing Jordan? Is that a Jordan sweatshirt he's wearing? Is that
No.
a Jordan sweatshirt?
Hey, he is wearing a Jordan sweatshirt.
shit.
Hey,
Dude, the fucking National Guard is high speed, bro.
It's good. No,
Holy
it's good.
shit.
How come I don't have one of these?
Dude, no proper
Jesus
Celtics fan would ever wear a Jordan shirt, dude.
I'm wearing a shitty ass NRC polo.
Dude,
Hey.
Bryce, you bought this for me. All I know is it says Task Force on it. That's all. That's all I know. I don't know.
Hey, my bad, Herb.
All I know is
So, so
Larry.
mean.
old
Rob,
30.
Rob's getting muted.
Hey, it sounds like Rob's going back to the community college.
Sounds like we're all getting muted.
Hey, so I want to close with a Well, we don't have to close, but I just want to say this happy little Irish toast real quick, just because. Wait, Pat Hayden, that's Irish, isn't it? Patty O'Hagan.
A wee bit of that.
Yeah, all right. So as you slide down the banister of life, may the splinters never point the wrong way. It's one of my favorite toasts, dude.
Yeah.
Hey, salute.
Hey, all joking aside, man.
That's all I got.
Hey, we want to get you guys back on. We'll stay in contact, and
We'll see you soon.
you guys having back on. Hey, we'll see you guys in April.
All right, definitely,
100%.
man.
All right.
All right, bro.
Looking forward to it.
Good night, everybody.
Here goes the plug.
Here goes the plug time.
All right. Good conversation there, boys.
That was awesome. Those guys
Absolutely,
rock.
man. I hope my boy Dan Barron's not listening, but Boston, Herbie, I mean, you got to admit too, Boston's one of our favorite cities, man.
Hey, true story.
Yeah, it's good times. I'm a Red Sox fan. We have a good time when we're there, and heading out to the Cape, doing some work. It's always fun, man. We always have a good time.
All right, so real quick, we want to plug a couple of upcoming classes that are coming on. We got the Advanced Rescue and Survival School held on by Rob Ramirez, Greg Rogers, Amy Gleason. It's going to be a good time. It's almost sold out. Treasure Coast Fools, they're going to host a Brotherhood Bash on the final night, which is January 8th.
Top notch.
It's going to be a good event. Hope to see all you guys there. It's going to be good. The next one we got the Dirty South Engine and Truck School. It's coming up in March. It's going to be held at Indian River State Fire College. Another good event. It's going to be very well. And then after that, guys, as you know, we always do our sponsors. So our sponsors, we got Breach Point USAR. It's the USAR Forum. We got TNT Rescue Tools. Hands down, some of the best extrication equipment that's out. We got First Do Screen Printing. They do all your custom fire department screen printing. We got MECO Fire Department. They handle all your gear. They have everything. Reach out to those guys. Customer service is top notch. They will get you all your gear that's needed. The Cam and Radio Show, and then Nozzleman Leather Company. Nozzleman Leather Company and NRC, we're going to be putting out a podcast giveaway. We're going to be giving away a custom 40-quart Grizzly cooler. Nozzleman Leather Company is going to be putting out a custom radio strap. It's going to be a good little giveaway.
Show for tool bag.
Yep, a show for tool bag. It's going to be good. So with that being said, Rob, you got anything in closing?
I had a great week, man. I got to be honest, and I'm a little bit biased because I, too, am a Red Sox fan. This was probably one of my favorite podcasts we've done. And I really enjoyed talking to Pat and Jay. And you guys were awesome as usual. The guys that typed in and sent messages were great. I'm still feel super blessed to be a part of this project. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care and God bless.
What about you, Greg?
Well, Rob, we're glad to have you on here, man. You always bring high expectations, and your guys always look forward to what you have to say. I will have to say that my crew that I work with, teaching and at the fire department, always put up with stuff that I have to say, new projects. I appreciate everybody. Guys that I work with, I know I'm not the easiest guy to work with, but I demand excellence. And the fact that I can't always produce excellence, I strive for it. So I want the other guys to be right on my coattails or at least in front of me. So I try. I'm always pushing forward to be progressive, and I do appreciate those guys that I work with. A couple other things too, man, like the class we got coming up. With what you've done, Rob, which is top notch, top of the game as far as survival aspect. I'm going to take your survival aspect and I'm going to turn it into my RIT company. And when the RIT team goes in, they're going to know survival skills, search skills, tech skills, and they're going to be beast. And they're going to go in and they're going to be tired and they're going to know when they come out, they're going to realize that what you taught them and what I showed them all goes together. And RIT team is no bullshit anymore, man. It has to be legit because it's never a big deal, man, until someone goes down and you got the dipshit out front trying to run in and snag you out. Has no training, just got the overtime because his boots were shiny. That's bullshit.
Yep.
We're not doing that
Yep.
anymore. And that's all I got to say, man. Herb, I bust your chops more than anybody, bro. You know that. We've built a pretty good operation here, and we're striving forward. And I like being busy the last couple months. I feel I get in trouble when I'm not busy, but it looks like I'm going to be extremely busy in the future here. And now I'm pissed at you because I'm going to be that busy. So I don't know where my emotions are right now, bro. But I'm going to yell at you probably later. Love
Take
you,
medicine,
anyways.
Greg.
Hey, it's all joking aside, guys. It's we are blessed, the three of us. We put this podcast together, not knowing what was going to turn out, and literally, the three of us have commented after every podcast and seeing all the comments and saying, "Hey, listen, keep it up, keep going." It tells us that we're doing something right. The three of us were nothing special. We're not reinventing the wheel. We truly have passion for what we're doing. We eat, live, and sleep this, and we just want to give you guys some information that we have, and it's amazing. And we hope to see every single one of you guys at classes. We hope to see you guys there and asking questions, and reach out to Greg, reach out to myself, reach out to Rob. You can get Greg at G Rogers at National Rescue Consultants.com. You can get Rob at R Ramirez at National Rescue Consultants.com. You can get myself at H Tyler at National Rescue. Reach out to us. If you guys want someone on, we'll be more than happy to get them on. We're doing this for you guys. And to be honest, we're having fun with it. We enjoy it. So with that being said, we thank you guys, and we'll see you next week.